Paul Tracy battle their way to international stardom. Monday, August 3rd, the Molson Motorsport IndyCar World Series features the Marlboro 500 from Brookline, Michigan. Don't miss it. 2:30 Eastern, right here on TSN.
You're watching TSN, the sports network.
Time ticks towards baseball's dealing deadline. Will the Blue Jays be bolstered through a deal? History tells us they'll make a move. In 1989, Mookie Wilson came from New York on deadline day and proved a vital acquisition as the Jays won the East. In 90, 4 days before the end of July, the Jays got John Candelaria. They failed to win, and Candy's gone. Last year, the move came early. Late in June, Tom Candiotti was the candidate. What will they do in 92? Or does this first-place team need help? You decide as the Blue Jays play the Kansas City Royals next on TSN.
Labatt Blue Jays baseball on TSN. Brought to you by Labatt Blue. Honest and true, you bet it's blue. And by Esso Associates and Imperial Oil. You're on your way with Esso. And by Diet Pepsi. You got the right one, baby.
The Toronto Blue Jays are 1-1 in their 6-game homestand. Tonight it's Game 3 against the Kansas City Royals. Hi again, welcome to Blue Jays Baseball on TSN. Yes, there is a trading deadline in baseball on the 31st of July. No, it doesn't mean there can't be any more deals. What it means is that their players would have to be waived through the league after the 31st of July to be traded. So it's a lot easier to do it prior to the deadline. The Blue Jays might. Generally accepted around here, Buck, that they're going to make a deal, and all sorts of names are being bandied about. But the question I find more interesting is, who are they going to give up?
Well, Jim, I think the clubs that the Blue Jays might be talking to are asking about Pat Henkin, Derek Bell, and possibly Ed Sprague, 3 young, talented players. And they may be willing to give up these players, considering that the Blue Jays feel this is their World Series year, and they might pull the trigger on a deal.
But what if they don't make a deal? They'll surely be criticized if they don't. There might be too high a price. Are they good enough if they don't make a deal or deals down the stretch?
Well, if the pitching staff pitches up to form, they certainly have enough pitching to carry them over the hump. But Juan Guzman's shoulder problems recently has them concerned, and maybe that might prompt them to go ahead and pull the trigger and make the deal.
It's good that they do this just before the so-called dog days, because it adds a little more intrigue to an already intriguing season. Tonight's game features Kansas City's Luis Aquino against David Wells of the Blue Jays. This is Labatt Blue Jays baseball on TSN.
I got the key to the highway, built out and bound to go.
When you're a long way from home,
because you haven't done nothing but
got no shirt on your back,
a good man away from home,
and no roof over your head. Yeah, that's the blues.
Since the beginning of time, man has been mystified by power and beauty, intrigued by possibilities, searching for the perfect balance between the two. With its precision handling, bold, dramatic look, and available V6 power, the new MX-6 Mystère from Mazda clearly proves the search is over.
You know, there's real magic in Diet Pepsi. It's got that special aha ingredient. You got the right one, baby. Okay, girls. Now, what's that magic ingredient?
With 100% uh-huh.
Since 1880, Imperial Oil has served not only customers, but the dreams of Canadians through the support of good causes. Today, Imperial Oil sponsors 1,500 charitable organizations and Canada's 125th birthday. You could say we've been supporting the future of Canada for the past 112 years.
You're on your way.
The weather is lousy, so the roof is closed in the comfort-controlled Skydome as the Kansas City Royals and Toronto Blue Jays finish up a three-game series, having split the first two games. The Blue Jays may make a pre-trade deadline deal, but they've also made a lot of August and September deals too, and could do that. In '85, Cliff Johnson hit .368 in the championship series. '87, Mike Flanagan was added on August 31st, last day for setting playoff rosters. He went 3-2 down the stretch. 2 years ago, Buddy Black was a September addition from Cleveland. The price was high for just 3 Black starts. Twice last year, the Blue Jays added players late in the season. Candy Maldonado came from Milwaukee in August and added 28 late RBIs. And in September, Dave Parker was signed to help win the East, and he did with some key hits. So the deadline is tomorrow, but deals can still be made and players signed to bolster the bench. And the Blue Jays aren't finished yet by any means, with a month to go before playoff rosters must be set. Candy Maldonado is an important part of this Blue Jay team as he takes the field with his teammates in this, the final game of a series with the Kansas City Royals.
Well, Candy provided that offensive surge down the stretch, and this year it looks as though the Blue Jays may be more concerned about pitching than they are offense. There seems to be enough offense on this ball club.
Tonight's pitcher is out of the bullpen, back into the rotation. In his 9th start is 29-year-old David Wells from San Diego. In his last one, a no decision in a loss to Oakland. Tonight he's up against Al McRae's Kansas City Royals. 4-4 against Toronto this season, 5th in the American League West. Tonight's lineup brought to you by Samsung, the sensible alternative in home and business electronics. This is the lineup that has the 3rd best pitching in the league, the Royals, but they're 9th in hitting and last in home runs. And after the top 5, RBIs are hard to come by. Just 27 from the bottom 3 in the order. But that doesn't necessarily mean much. They get 4 RBIs from the bottom 3 in the order last night in a win. For David Wells, this is the 7th start since his return to the Jays rotation.
And like Steve and Stottlemyre, they need David Wells to get on a roll here in the second half. Opponent's hitting a little bit higher than he would like, 267 on the year. Control's been good, only 19 walks. David has been able to develop a sinking fastball that's helped him an awful lot. He can run that fastball inside on the left-handed batters and then set up the big sweeping breaking ball, fastball, curveball, changeup. He's a power pitcher and he can pitch upstairs. Behind David Wells for the Blue Jays, Maldonado, White, and Carter in the outfield. Candy Maldonado has really played a solid left field this year. Gruber, Lee, Alomar, and Oldroot around the infield. And Pat Borders will flash the signs for David Wells.
Blue Jays ranked 3rd in the American League defensively, having made 59 errors this season. Baltimore started the day 3 back, having picked up a game on the Blue Jays last night, but they've already lost today, 6-3 to the New York Yankees. The Young beat Sutcliffe. Sutcliffe's now 10-11, so the Orioles are 3.5 back of Toronto, and Milwaukee 5 back. Leo Gomez homered for Baltimore today. Mel Hall had his 13th for New York. So Wells is set to go against Brian McRae. Ball 1 from the left-hander to the Royals' leadoff man. Hasn't been the leadoff man all season. Keith Miller was in that spot doing a nice job till he was hurt. So for a dozen games, or a few more than that now, McRae has been at the top of the order. One away as he's thrown out by Manny Lee.
Hal McRae, the manager, Brian's father, trying to ignite some offense with this club. He's inserted Brian up there to top the order until Keith Miller comes back. Miller is out with a fractured leg. It's been a tough season for Hal McRae. He's trying to instill some qualities of fundamental baseball into this relatively young ball club.
Greg Jeffries fouls off the first pitch, the switch-hitting third baseman. Ignited some offense for Hal, going 7 for 9 in this series. One strike pitch. Same thing. 0-2.
Hal McRae feels that with a switch hitter like Jeffries, even though his right side may be the natural side, because you don't see that many left-handers on a regular basis, you get more at-bats from the left side. So Jeffries has a tendency to get long with his swing from the right side. That slows him down. He's trying to generate bat speed instead of trusting his hands. He's using his hands the way he does from the left side.
Ball and 2 strikes.
Jeffries is perfectly tailored for Royal Stadium. He has gap power. A lot of line drives up the alleys. He'll get a lot of doubles. 27 so far this year.
In foul territory, but in no man's land. Alomar, O'Rourke, and Carter all realized they couldn't get to that ball. Ball and 2 strikes. David Wells to Greg Jeffries. Wells' last outing featured 6 innings of 9 hit ball, 4 earned runs. He was in a tie when he left the game, and Toronto took the lead, then lost it to Oakland last Friday night. Stayed inside on Jeffries through the whole at-bat and finally got him out.
Well, he dropped the curveball on him, and it's a good sequence of pitches that David Wells utilized to get Jeffries. He had set up this strikeout by throwing high fastballs and then drops the curve down and in. Off the plate inside, but he got Jeffries to chase.
Now he'll have to deal with George Brett. 2 hits in the first game of the series. Brett went 0 for last night, although he scored a run. He's a lifetime .334 hitter against Toronto. .39-year-old Brett. 67 hits to go to 3,000. 62 games to get them in. Oh, 1 pitch. Fouled off. 0-2.
Well, if Wells can continue to throw strikes even to a good hitter like George Brett, he will be in the driver's seat all night long. He's shown that he's going to get his curveball over here early in the ball game. He's got the good velocity on his fastball, and he's making the Royals hitters, at least the first 3, swing awfully defensive.
Breaking ball, fouled off by Brett at 0-2, stays alive.
Now, with a 2-strike count on George Brett, you throw him a slow curveball. Brett's thinking about just making contact. He's not aggressive. He's not trying to pull the ball, not trying to hit it hard. He's just trying to lace it out there in the left field. So by throwing the curveball, if you throw it over the plate, you're giving in to Brett somewhat in that he can stay back and hit that hard.
So you're suggesting some heat here.
Well, that's right, because with 2 strikes, Brett, like so many good hitters, is not thinking about being aggressive and getting out in front, hitting the fastball. He's saying, I'll stay back here and just try to fight off anything. Fight off the fastball and hit the breaking ball hard.
We didn't get much of a piece of that fastball. What'll Pat call for here?
Wants to come inside again. He's fighting off the fastball. That's all he's trying to do.
Yeah.
With 2 strikes, all he's thinking about doing is keeping the inning alive and getting on base.
So what next? Fouled off a curveball, got a pretty big piece of that, didn't get as much of the fastball.
Now you go up and away with the fastball. See if you can get him to chase that. Nope, bounced the breaking ball.
had a pitch to work with. Buck, it's a ball and 2 strikes.
That's the best part of the game in my mind. Good hitter at the plate, powerful pitcher on the mound.
Another breaking ball.
And you see that Brett is really not fooled by that pitch. Wells threw it in such a good location, all George could do is foul it off. Look at the location of this last pitch. Wells has had a good curveball here early in the ball game. He just gets a piece of it to stay alive.
Don't you think an at-bat like this can really help Wells for the rest of the game with the number of pitches that he's thrown and the kind of pitches he's had to throw? Even if Brett finally gets a hit on it.
It's really located well in this series. Borders wants it inside again.
Finally got it. Fastball, 2 strikeouts for David Wells, and a 1-2-3 inning. They got McRae, Jeffries, and Brett in a long battle. Luis Aquino, a former Blue Jay farmhand, will go to work next against the Toronto Blue Jays. Bottom of the first, this is Labatt. Blue Jays baseball on TSN.
I wasn't born with healthy-looking, shiny hair. It didn't always look so healthy until I changed to new Pantene Pro V 2-in-1 shampoo plus conditioner. It has a vitamin-rich formula containing provitamin B5 that reaches even to the tips of your hair, improving it, making it healthy-looking and brilliantly shiny.
New Pantene Pro V makes your hair look so healthy, it shines.
Try it. You'll notice a difference, too.
People driving in front of me. People walking in front of me. A beach with no people. Come on! No traffic. Hey, thanks to my bank, that beach is getting closer and closer.
Are you going south?
Yep.
Sounds good. Tastes even better.
"27-year-old Luis Aquino from Puerto Rico is the starter tonight for the Kansas City Royals against David Wells and the Toronto Blue Jays. Up against Cito Gaston's Jays, now 3.5 up on Baltimore. Tonight's lineup is brought to you by Samsung, the sensible alternative in home and business electronics. Usual lineup with the top 3 still trying to shake a slump. Carter just 3 RBIs since the break. John Olerud was hitting .279 just before the break, and his average is at .296. He's hot, so is Maldonado. Toronto is 6th in the league in runs scored and 5th in home runs with 101.
Right-hander Luis Aquino, 1-1 on the season, .593 ERA, and that doesn't reflect the fact that he was on the disabled list for most of the first half of the season. He had rib cage problems and a sore shoulder.
First pitch to White, fouled off. Devon White 2 for 8 in this series. His struggles continue. You see his average is to .236, hitting .157 for his last 16 games. Ball and a strike from Aquino. Two and 1.
Now White will have to contend with a good live fastball from Aquino. Fastball, curveball, slider, and a split changeup that he throws.
That took a long time getting to White, and he popped it up in the air, and it falls in. Got himself a base hit. It fell in the triangle. Left, center, fielder after it. So was the shortstop, David Howard. Nobody could come up with it.
Well, it's a changeup, and maybe this is the type of hit that'll get Devon White going. Good pitch by Aquino, and he gets it off the end of the bat. See his frustration? He didn't come out of the box hard, and that's why he's still at first base. Falls right in the midst. Take a look at his reaction. Oh, he popped it up. He's frustrated by it, just jogs out of the box, and then it falls in between two outfielders and an infielder. By this time, he can't go to second base.
White's aboard for Roberto Alomar. First pitch fouled off.
Jim, you see how Alomar's behind the fastball? That will happen to the Blue Jay hitters because Aquino has such a slow, deliberate motion. Kind of lulls you to sleep, and the ball jumps out of his hands, and that fastball gets on the hitters quickly.
One and one. White's on first. He's stolen 24.
For comparison's sake, think about Roger Clemens on the mound where he has a big pumping action with his hands and a high leg kick, and you anticipate the ball really coming out of his hand. But Aquino is very slow and deliberate out of his pitching motion, and the ball really sneaks up on the hitters. He's nowhere near as close to Roger Clemens with the velocity, but the combination of slow delivery and quick, sneaky fastball can be as devastating at times.
Turns and looks White back to first base.
He's always pitched very well against the Blue Jays.
3-0 for his career against his former team. Bunt by Alomar, foul. 1-2, and Alomar makes his way back to the plate.
One of the negatives of a slow delivery is when you have base runners on base, sometimes it's too slow and you'll allow the base runner to get a good jump. There's the full speed delivery, and you could see it was still very deliberate. So he's going to have to change his timing to the plate, or else the Blue Jays are liable to run him wild.
White's had a good look at him now. Pitch out, and White steadfast at first, 2-2.
You know, the pitcher has to help sell that pitch out. He can't just come set and unload to the catcher and expect the runner to bite on it. He's got to sell it as if it were a regular pitch.
2-2, a couple of steps for White, and then he bailed out. 3-2.
Jim, we talked about the second half, how Cito Gaston wants his base runners to be more aggressive and run more. And he said he would even go as far as putting the steal sign on. Let's see if he's running here.
There goes White. Good jump. Base hit for Alomar, left center field. Cut off by McReynolds in left, but White easily goes first and third on the single by Alomar. First and third for Toronto, nobody out, first inning.
Well, Aquino came in there because he didn't want to walk Alomar, got the fastball in on his hands. He fights it off, flares it into left center. McReynolds comes over to cut the ball off. But White, running on the play, sees it drop in there and takes the turn, heads to third. Blue Jays are threatening here in the first inning. First and third with nobody out.
And Joe Carter at the plate. Starving for an RBI. Starving for hits. He got a bunt single last night to snap an 0 for 23 slump. Just 3 RBIs since the All-Star break. And that's not all from lack of hitting. Initially, when the Blue Jays went out on the 11-game West Coast swing, he was hitting the ball hard, collected 11 hits, but only a couple of RBIs because no one was getting on in front of him. Then the hits stopped coming. Running. Carter hits the ball in the air to center field. McRae catches it. Devon White tags and scores easily. The Blue Jays have the lead. Carter has an RBI on a sacrifice fly.
Well, there's nothing quite like an RBI to start the game off. Sacrifice fly. Carter just drives it deep to center field to bring home Devon White. Blue Jays jump out on top 1-0. 2 base hits and a sac fly. Pretty simple.
Now Dave Winfield is up. For this series, Winfield is 0 for 7. He has Alomar on first and 1 away. Alomar, like Devon White, has stolen 24 bases. They're co-leaders on the Blue Jays. Aquino seems determined to whether pick Alomar off or keep him close.
Well, Louis Aquino's from Rio Piedras, Puerto Rico, a suburb of San Juan, and he plays winter ball down there. They have played several games against each other, Alomar and Aquino, so they know the strengths of one another.
The inside pitch to Winfield, ball 1.
Although Winfield has this 4-game hitless streak, he's hit the ball sharply several times. Just hasn't had much luck working for him right now.
Strike 1-1. Strike was called by Drew Coble, who's behind the plate. National League East, Montreal and Pittsburgh in a dead heat atop the division. Montreal with a 2-0 lead tonight at home against Philadelphia. Larry Walker's hit his 18th home run of the season.
Mark Gardner on the mound for the Expos. No score in Pittsburgh. Cardinals and the Pirates top of the 2nd inning. That whole division is stacked up now. Danny Jackson, newly acquired Pirate pitcher, on the mound.
Comparison's sake, the Expos would be 6.5 out in the American League East. Hard hit ball to center field. Plenty of room for Brian McRae. Makes the catch. Alomar tags, but he'll only take a few steps and stop. 2 away.
Behind Aquino, the Royals defense sets up this way. McReynolds, McRae, and Gary Thurman, very speedy in center and right. Greg Jeffries has made 16 errors so far this year, but he's getting better all the time. David Howard, the youngster at shortstop. Terry Shumpert. They combine to make the double play combination. Wally Joyner just signed a multi-year deal. And Mike McFarland's behind the plate.
Here's the Blue Jays' hottest hitter, John Olerud.
It all goes back to the series in Kansas City when Olerud had hit several balls sharply to left field, right at the left fielder. And Cito Gaston said, John, you're going to have to start pulling the ball more to spread out the defense, keep them honest. Since then, he's taken off.
Now he's flirting with a 300 average. He's 13 for 19 in the last 4 games he started.
That'll get your average up there.
No kidding. He says this is the hottest streak he's had as a major leaguer in 3 years. He's had some other streaks, but this is the best he's hit in the major leagues for an extended period of time.
And I think it's because not only of the hit total, but the way he's hitting the ball so hard. Everything seems to be a crisp line drive. Larry Heisel says thumbs up for John Olerud in this current hot streak.
2 balls, 1 strike. Alomar at first, 2 out. In on the hands of Olerud. Ground ball to David Howard. The shortstop throws him out, and that's all for the Blue Jays. Promising inning with the first 2 batters getting base hits, but Aquino shut the rest down and gave up a run on the sacrifice fly. We'll go to the second 1-0 Toronto. This is Labatt. Blue Jays baseball on TSN.
Kurt Harnett, medal contender for Canada in Barcelona.
I work hard to be the very best. I train hard every day, and that leaves my hair in a sweaty, tangled mess. That's why I use this, Pert Plus. Sure, I've tried some other 2-in-1s, but for me, Pert Plus is the best.
Pert Plus cleans thoroughly and conditions better than some other 2-in-1s, leaving your hair easier to comb, in control, and looking its best. Pert Plus, a winning combination for great-looking hair.
Fiance?
History.
Lovely.
Really?
Happy?
Very.
Friendly?
Usually.
Free?
Nosy.
Forgive me?
Maybe.
Thirsty?
Possibly. Certainly.
Destiny.
Labatt Extra Dry, double chilled for superb taste with no aftertaste. Extraordinary.
From Touchstone Pictures, the nation's newest heroes are three ninja brothers. They're battling ruthless criminals and having the time of their lives.
Awesome!
This Saturday afternoon, you can see the sneak preview of Three Ninjas. Then stay and be our guest for a special showing of what Joel Siegel calls the best kids film of the summer. Walt Disney Pictures' Honey, I Blew Up the Kid. Enjoy Three Ninjas and stay for Honey, I Blew Up the Kid this Saturday afternoon. Check newspapers for theaters and showtimes.
Toronto leads 1-0 to the second inning. You've heard a lot about the Royals' lousy 1-16 start. Well, they're a lot better than they were at the start of the season, but are they where Hal McRae wants them to be?
Not really. We have a lot of new people. It's going to take some time for them to get used to the American League, to get used to our ballpark, to adjust or adapt to our style of play. I thought we could get it done sooner, but it's going to take some time. It's going to take 2 or 3 years to mold this club into the type club I would like to have in Kansas City. It's a matter of whether I'm going to be around long enough to do that.
Well, at least he can laugh about it.
He has a plan. It's just a matter of whether or not the organization will stick with him through that plan.
Yeah, who gets to institute the plan?
The one thing about Hal McRae, he's quite frank and upfront.
Kevin McReynolds is at the plate, leading off from McRae's Kansas City Royals. Second inning, he's the cleanup hitter, leads the team in home runs and RBIs. One and one from David Wells, who retired the side in order in the first and has a 1-0 lead. Fastball hit hard by McReynolds in the air to left field and off the wall. Maldonado plays it off the wall on a hop, barehands it, throws to second, made the play close, and McReynolds had to slide into second with the double.
Well, McReynolds made a bid to tie this game up. Just about a foot short of going over the wall. The carom goes beyond Maldonado, but the momentum takes him right towards second base. He throws the ball on the money to Alomar, but McReynolds slides in there with a leadoff double. Now, this is the aspect of the game where Hal McRae really wants to see his ball club improve. Advance this guy over to third base right now. Take a shot on the right side, and he's got the right hitter at the plate in Wally Joyner. These are the little things that get you thinking about winning.
Ball one to Joyner. Runner on second. Borders is out to the mound. Likely to talk about signs with David Wells. Here's the scouting report on the lefty David Wells, his last 3 starts.
Now you can see he's hit around 5 home runs in those 3 starts. He'll have to improve upon that. Just 4 strikeouts. So it's a matter of David Wells pitching ahead to see what it's done for him early in this ball game by going strike 1, strike 2. Once you're there, you're in the driver's seat.
Strike 1-1. Last year the home run was really a problem for David. Hasn't been as much this year until the last few starts. Not many home run threats on the Kansas City Royals. That has a lot to do with their ballpark. Two and one. Wells missed inside to Joyner. What's the easiest pitch to pull to the right side and advance the runner?
For a left-handed hitter like Joyner, he's looking for something out of the plate and just roll his wrist so he can just pull it on the right side.
So that's why Wells tried to crowd him with the last pitch.
That's it. You just take that one. When you say get him over, that doesn't mean swing at every pitch and just try to guide it there. It says get a pitch that you can pull on the right side of the field on the ground. You don't have to do it with the first pitch you see. You have an entire at-bat to do it, but it's important that you stick with the plan.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Leadoff man aboard in the second inning, 1-0 Toronto. Curveball fouled off.
McReynolds not blessed with blazing speed, but he's an outstanding base runner. He really takes the shortest path between the bases, and he has the ability to get good jumps and read the ball off the bat to quickly determine whether or not it's going to fall in for a base hit. He's an outstanding base runner.
Here comes the 2-2 pitch. Hit high in the air to right field. Carter's going back. Makes the catch on the track. That'll move up the runner and give Wells a scare to boot. McReynolds is on third with one away. And both McReynolds and Joyner hit the ball a long ways here in the second.
Jim, there's another curveball with 2 strikes. A good hitter, Joyner and Brett, we talked about. Now with 2 strikes, they're thinking about just making contact. And sometimes by throwing that slow curveball, you give in to them a little bit. You give them the opportunity to make the adjustment as the ball's flying toward home plate.
Now here's Mike McFarland. Catcher's up, trying to deliver the tying run in the second inning. Infield playing in. Pulled foul. And quickly it's 0-2 to McFarland.
Ouch. That has really hurt Hal McRae. Bottom part of his lineup totally different than the bottom part of the Blue Jays lineup. They have not been able to produce.
McFarland looked like he wanted to go after that and just couldn't get the bat off his shoulders, and he's out.
David Wells has such a big breaking curveball that when the hitter first picks it up, it looks like it's going to stay high out of the strike zone. Watch how high it gets. And then, bam, the bottom falls out of it. He couldn't pull the trigger. He gets fooled on it right there and just couldn't pull the trigger.
Called third strike, 2 away, and McReynolds still stands at third. That's where David Wells will try and keep him with Gary Thurman at the plate. Ground ball foul. Thurman has just 11 RBIs. Howard behind him has only 6, although he's been in the minors for a time, and so is Terry Shumpert at the bottom of the order with just 10 RBIs.
That's why Hal McRae had Brian McRae down at the bottom of the lineup earlier with Keith Miller active and hitting him the leadoff spot. David's got an outstanding curveball tonight. You can see it's got real tight spin on the late breaker, and he's got pretty good confidence in it.
But that was a different curveball than he's used for some others.
He got on top of that one more and had more of a downward break to it. Against left-handers, he'll try to flatten it out and break it down and away from it.
Fastball, 2-1.
Now, see, he can come right back here with a fastball. He has thrown enough curveballs to Gary Thurman to put that in his mind. He might be late on the fastball. He can pound him right back inside again with a fastball. Get him to pop up. He wants this one down, probably be the curveball. Fouled it off.
Now that's a slower curve. How many different kinds of curveballs can he throw?
Well, when he's throwing it well, he can throw several different kinds because you can throw it from different angles. You can drop your arm angle down. It'll sweep down and away from left-handed hitters. You can change speeds on it. There's a lot of things you can do when you're throwing it well because you have confidence it'll be around the plate.
But no matter how good it is, you can't use it exclusively.
Exactly. You can't overthrow it. Then you put it in hitters' minds. And the moment you throw one bad one, when they're thinking about it all the time, they're going to wear it out.
2-2. McReynolds leading off third base, 2 away. Second inning, 1-0 Toronto. Fastball, and he got it. Mixed his pitches nicely and got Thurman. And after the leadoff double to McReynolds, he got a 3 in a row and gets out of the inning unscathed. We'll go to the bottom of the second, 1-0 Toronto. This is Labatt Blue Jays baseball on TSN.
Children grow up so fast. Jesse may look safe, but his head is more than halfway above the top of his seat. He could be hurt in an accident. At Esso, looking out for your safety is part of our service. So remember, Jesse would be safer in a booster seat with a regular seatbelt. Drive safely. Pick up our brochure of road safety information. It's free at your local SO.
To me, good service also means getting you safely on your way.
Play Baseball Magic at A&P or Dominion. Win a trip for 2 to Walt Disney World Resort with 20 new reasons to visit during their 20th anniversary. Courtesy of Canadian Holidays, a world of vacations. This week's features, wouldn't you rather have Ruffles? Beatrice 2-liter classic ice cream, the taste that's true to Moo. And Kraft barbecue sauce. Baseball Magic, exclusively at A&P and Dominion.
I wasn't born with healthy-looking, shiny hair. It didn't always look so healthy until I changed to new Pantene Pro V 2-in-1 shampoo plus conditioner. It has a vitamin-rich formula containing provitamin B5 that reaches even to the tips of your hair, improving it, making it healthy-looking and brilliantly shiny.
New Pantene Pro V makes your hair look so healthy, it shines.
Try it. You'll notice a difference, too.
Well, we mentioned the trading deadline comes up tomorrow. We talk about it. You talk about it. Candy Maldonado says the players are aware. Talk about it, too.
Well, there's always little talks, and it goes through your mind. You know, even so that we have what you call a solid ball club, but it's not the same club that you really picture when it came down to spring training. You know, we know that we have a great pitcher that still, you know, is working his way here, and that's Dave Steve. We have problems now with Juan. You know, you never know what could happen. Unfortunately, you know, Ty was out for a while. And, you know, it's always good if we can get, you know, a couple guys that, you know, they're going to fit in, they're going to help the club. It's not my decision. I'm not trying to say we have to do that. But I think to be able to contend it and see what is out there, and knowing that some teams are playing better than what we thought, you know, a lot of help is not bad.
What a good assessment of what's going on with the Toronto Blue Jays and what the players might be chattering about in the clubhouse.
Boy, that was right on. He just addressed all of the issues. You know, Steve's not throwing well. Todd's been on the DL. We know that they're not performing the way they're capable of, but he is.
He's in the ball hard. Base hit left field. Maldonado to lead off the second.
There are not too many soft outs in the mix for Candy Maldonado. And that was another bullet. He has been a hot hitter.
He assessed the pitching needs or an area that they might have some concern and want to go after in pitching. But what about the bench substitutes? I think they might be worried about Pat Tabler's knee.
Well, I think they should be concerned about that, because that's the kind of thing that could crop up in a hurry. He's got a torn cartilage in there, and you never know when that's going to move around and get in his knee joint, get stuck. I'm sure it's a concern. You never know what will happen with something like that. He's the one veteran hitter you have off the bench. Mullenix isn't available. Jeff Kent has shown that he can swing the bat effectively, but he's a rookie, first year. I don't know how they're going to react down the stretch.
One strike pitch to Kelly Gruber. High ball one, although bench strength and an extra hitter might be the kind of person you can pick up in August, just before the deadline for setting the roster, as opposed to having to make that deal before this deadline.
Well, I think you're right. I don't think that's the area that they're concerned about right now.
Ball's behind McFarland, and Maldonado adeptly moves up to second base.
The only way that this happens is that Maldonado was anticipating something in the dirt. He was thinking about the possibility. Heads up base running by Candy.
Another Puerto Rican who knows this pitcher ever so well.
Breaking ball in the dirt. It doesn't go far, but watch him. He sees it's just far enough for him to advance to second base. That's a huge 90-foot gain there.
Wild pitch against Aquino. Maldonado at second, Gruber at the plate, 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Okay, here's the flip side. We were talking about it with Joyner at the plate. Now Kelly Gruber's at the plate with a runner at second base and nobody out. Think about taking a shot there to the right side.
Fastball hit straight up the middle. Base hit. McCray in to scoop up the ball. Maldonado will hold up at third. First and third with nobody out. for the second consecutive inning for the Blue Jays.
A lot of good things happen when you're thinking about doing the little things. He's thinking about advancing. Look at how he approaches it. Takes it right back up the middle, and Louis Aquino should have had that ball. He had good position. He was just late with the glove. Take a look at it. He's in a good fielding spot, but doesn't get the glove down. Goes right over the mound. Gruber gets the base hit. Maldonado moves over to third. And all of a sudden, first and third with nobody out, and Aquino's got himself in a jam.
Now Pat Borders is up. Carter was up in this situation in the first, and he delivered a run, hit on the ground. Jeffries comes home. They've got Maldonado in a rundown. Maldonado's tagged. Gruber is out as well.
Because Candy walked off the base. Candy has the bag. Candy is the lead runner, so he has to stay there. It's his base, and when he drifted off the bag, McFarland put the tag on him, and he was out, and then they tagged Gruber, and he was out. This will be a big, lengthy argument here. Now, wait a minute, McClellan says. He said he tagged Maldonado, and Gruber wasn't yet at third base. The lead runner has the rights to the base. If both runners converge on the base, the lead runner is the one who has control. Maldonado walked off the base first, and before Gruber got on there, McFarland tagged him out. Heads-up play by the umpire. Derwood Merrill, the crew chief, is going to stay over at first base, and I don't want any part of this.
Now, are they arguing that as soon as Maldonado was tagged, it was Gruber's base to have, and he got there in time?
Well, I think that's what they're arguing. Let's take a look at it. Gruber does a good job to come all the way over to third base. You got to save one runner right here. Maldonado goes back to the bag. Now watch this unfold. He tags him there. He's out. And then he tags Gruber. Now that's interesting. He tagged him out there, and then he tagged him out there. Because it looked to me initially like he tagged Maldonado out before he got to third. Let's take a look. If he tags Maldonado out before he gets to third, right here. Watch him hold up. Hold up. He's out before he ever touched third, so that's Gruber's base. And then he retouches Maldonado, and that's when McClellan calls him out. So I don't know if that was the correct call, because Candy appeared to be tagged before he got back to third. But they're both going to be called out. One more look at this play. Everybody's standing by. Watch Maldonado. McFarland appears to tag him just before he hits the base. There. Now he's out, so Gruber should be fine at third. But McClellan hadn't made a sign yet. And then he reaches for Maldonado, who drifts off the base. Then he calls him out. And now McFarland says, well, I'm hot. Let's try this guy. Tags him, and he's out too. And already McClellan is getting ready to argue with Hacker. Drew Coble, a home plate umpire, explaining it to Cito Gaston. Interesting play.
Two runners can't occupy a base at the same time. These two didn't.
My contention is that once Maldonado was tagged going back to third base, it becomes Gruber's base. Here it is one more time.
What about the fact that Gruber took possession of the base while it was still Maldonado's?
That's a good point.
And I'm looking in my handy rule book, even as we speak, trying to figure out if that's why he's been called out.
That rule book doesn't explain a thing.
It's the hardest darn thing to find anything into.
And these are plays that even players will be confused upon because of that. Gruber had taken possession of third before Maldonado got back, when it was in fact still Maldonado's base.
Well, there are two outs.
Now Griff would know. Griff is very good on these situations. He's a captain of the infield for so many years, always aware. But you can see several players discussing that last play. He said he touched Candy, and then it's not his base.
Meantime, back at the plate, Pat Borders was safe on that play. He's at first. Manny Lee at the plate, fouls off the pitch, and it's 0-2.
You know, it showed pretty good judgment by Jeffries at third base to go ahead and go to home to get the runner going home, because it didn't appear like the ball was hit sharply enough to get to two. So they've got to resolve. Oh, he balked.
And Borders gets second base.
Well, they just would have had a run there on the balk by Aquino had one of them stayed there. Cedar Gaston trying to call the rules committee, I'm sure.
Ball and 2 strikes to Manny Lee. Four hits for the Blue Jays, but just a run as they bat here in the second inning. Aquino to lead. Slashes the ball through the legs of David Howard, and a run will score here. Pat Borders is in. And now it's 2-0 Toronto.
One thing that the Royals thought they had coming out of spring training was good defense up the middle with Howard and Shumpert. Both of them faltered right here. Sharply hit, but right at the shortstop. One hopper, he just doesn't get his glove down. Scoots right between his legs. That scored an error. And a big one.
What a curious inning. One run is in on a couple of hits. Now there's an error. Man at first base. 2 out with Devon White at the plate. So Manny Lee doesn't get an RBI with Borders scoring because of the error to Howard.
Two hits, an error, a wild pitch, a balk, and a fielder's choice, and they get one run. A potpourri of scoring.
Don't forget there's a, I don't know what in there somewhere too.
That's the old DK in the scorebook. Don't know. Okay, now if you go over there.
On the ground by Devon White. Shumpert turns and throws out the runner. And that's all for the Blue Jays in the second. A run on 2 hits, a balk, a wild pitch, an error, and a DK. And it's 2-0 Toronto through 2. This is Labatt Blue Jays baseball on TSN.
You know, Diet Pepsi's now for everyone. That's right, Ray. Meet my twin brother, Irv.
And our twins, the Irvettes.
With caffeine-free Diet Pepsi, I get all that great taste, but there's no caffeine. Sing it, brother. You got the right one, baby. Irresistibly sippable, uncontestably tasteable, and caffeine-free. You got the right one, baby. Hey.
It's 100% What makes McCain Super Fries better than ordinary fries? They're not just delicious, they're super delicious. Not just crispy, they're super crispy. They're not just fries, they're super fries. McCain Super Fries. If they're not McCain, they're just not super.
McCain Super Crisps and Super Spirals. Straight ahead or curled around. They're the crispiest, crunchiest, spiciest fries that ever came out of an oven. McCain Super Spirals and Super Crisps. You'll love what we've done to your fries.
Cruiser 5 gets in low. 4730 first
You can fly. With your feet on the ground, you can soar. Because the most advanced timekeeping technology on Earth has an IQ. Seiko Intelligent Quartz. So functions never dreamed of on a single watch are amazingly simple to understand. Seiko, the future of time. And the official timer of the games of the 25th Olympiad. Seiko.
You're watching Labatt Blue Jays baseball coming to you from Skydome, the world's greatest entertainment center. It's Blue Jays baseball on the Sports Network, TSN. Shall we have one more look at this weird play?
Now, McFarland has the ball in his right hand here. Watch him push him with his glove hand. That is not an out. He is not out because the ball's in his right hand. Now, Maldonado's on the base there.
Two players can't occupy the base.
Okay, so this is Maldonado's base right here. Now watch. Maldonado drifts off, tags, he's out.
Gruber's already been tagged and he's out because it's Maldonado's base.
That's right. The umpires called it correctly.
Pop up to John Olrud. And David Howard is out. So there wasn't any curiosity about the rule. It's simply that they really didn't tag Maldonado, so he was entitled to third base all along. Gruber took it and he's not allowed to.
And when McFarland tagged Gruber, Gruber was out, and then Maldonado drifted off the base, and Maldonado was out. Very simple.
Until Maldonado is out, that is his base, so Gruber standing on third or halfway between second and third is in exactly the same position. Out at tag. Fly ball to right, 2 away.
The only concern is whether Maldonado's touched before he touches third. Right there, he bumps into him. Technically, he's out. And if that were the case, Maldonado would be out, Gruber would have the right to third.
And that's what the Blue Jays will be arguing.
But Tim McClellan never made the out signal at this point there. But that's awfully close to call. Naked eye as the action unfolds.
Two away here for David Wells, who's come out working quickly in inning number 3. He's given up just one hit in the game to double to McReynolds to lead off the second. One ball, one strike. Ryan McRae grounded out in the first to shortstop Manny Lee.
See, now that's why people watch baseball. Sometimes there's something you haven't seen before crops up just about every night. Tonight we had that play at third and it cost the Blue Jays at least one run, because Aquino bonked immediately after that call. The one thing to do if you're the two base runners at third base is just both stay there. Let the umpire determine who is out. Just both get on the base.
Or let the fielder decide which one he wants to be out.
Okay. You get checked, but as long as they tag the lead runner. But as base runners, you just both have to stay there. Once you make that play, then you have one runner. That's the object.
Well, exactly. Maldonado, had he stayed anchored to the base, would have been safe.
But I think now, looking back, Maldonado's reaction by drifting off indicates that he felt the tag before he stepped on third, and that's what he thought he was in.
2-2, 2 out. Fly ball left field. Maldonado makes the catch. 3 up, 3 down. David Wells looks sharp. Just 7 pitches to get the Royals in the third. And he has a 2-0 lead. This is Labatt Blue Jays baseball on TSN.
Dirt Devil presents Blue Jays Red Hot Plays.
Need a smaller upright for a small place? Get a Dirt Devil Broom Vac. Want a second vacuum upstairs? Get a Dirt Devil Broom Vac. It's the powerful upright that's small enough to use anywhere because it's a Dirt Devil.
April 7th, 1977, the first home opener. Elvis Woods in his first Major League at-bat. A big home run to right field. For Elvis Woods, a red-hot debut. With one swing, he makes his mark in the city of Toronto. A two-run homer in his first Major League at-bat. Another Dirt Devil red-hot play.
Put the power of an upright in the palm of your hand. With the Royal Dirt Devil, it has a revolving brush, and it can handle all kinds of dirt. Pick up the handheld vac that really picks up. Dirt Devil by Royal.
Looking for some action, some sweet distraction. Not looking to be nobody's fool. Yeah, we're one-on-one. We're having some fun. We're playing by the home rules. Yeah, I'm a bud man. Just looking for some sweet, sweet fun. I'm a bud man, and this bud's for you.
Louis Aquino's back out on the mound, hoping for things to go a little smoother than they did in a curious second inning in which the Blue Jays just got a run and a couple of hits. They only got a run and a couple of hits in the first two. In both the innings he's been out on the mound, the Blue Jays have gone base hit, and he's just changed things here in the third. One away as Alomar grounds out to Shumpert. So Joe Carter is up. Front of another 50,000 plus crowd at Skydome. Sold out again. Louis Aquino. Joe Carter. Strike one. High fastball, he fouled it off accidentally, 0-2. Aquino was a teammate of David Wells for a few years in the Blue Jays minor league system, 84, 86, 87 in Knoxville and Syracuse. And in July of 87, he was traded away for Juan Benitez. Aquino can't get that one either, but David Howard can, 2 away. Following tonight's game, we'll select the Labatt player of the game for the Blue Jays on behalf of the Canon UC1, the smallest and lightest 8mm camcorder in the world. Its slim design reduces weight strain for comfortable, fatigue-free operation without compromising quality. Create colorful, fun, and unforgettable video with the Canon UC1. A cash donation will be made to the Canadian Special Olympics on behalf of the Blue Jays player of the game and Canon. 2 out, nobody on. Dave Winfield is up for the Blue Jays. They lead 2-0. Winfield's fly ball was to center field in the first. 1 strike from Aquino. Ball, 1 strike. Howard throws out Winfield. A 3-up, 3-down inning for Louis Aquino on 7 pitches. Just like Wells in the third. To the fourth, 2-0 Toronto. This is Labatt Blue Jays baseball on TSN. Here's an update from TSN Control with Paul Romanek.
This update is brought to you by Pepsi.
Pepsi. Gotta have it.
And all evening long, we'll be watching the Orioles-Yankees game for you, bringing you up to date on that one. We'll pick this one up in the 5th inning and let you know what is going on up until this point. Rick Sutcliffe is delivering a pitch here to Mel Hall, and Mel Hall will hammer this one.
This may have a chance.
And it has more than a chance. It is, in fact, gone. His 13th home run of the year, and it's 4-0 for the Yankees. Later on in the game, Andy Stankiewicz snares it, flips to Pat Kelly, who barehands it to Don Mattingly. Got him. Yankees win this one 6-3 over Baltimore. Rick Sutcliffe taking the loss. He is now 10-11. Kurt Young is 3-2. Now this.
Rocket fuel.
Baseball aside, the big news today, clearly an Olympic gold medal for Canada. Mark Tewksbury winning it in the 100-meter backstroke. We will have highlights and a complete report on the next edition of Sports Desk after the ball game. Now back to the Dome.
Thanks, Paul. It's 2-0. Toronto leading Kansas City. Greg Jeffries is up. You know, he was a shortstop, second baseman in the minors, moved around with the Mets, and he's at third base every day for Kansas City.
For the most part, it's been really, really good. I still have to get used to the turf. The ball gets to me a lot faster than it did on grass, and you know, there's been times I've been handcuffed, and I still got to work really hard defensively and offensively. You know, I still sometimes get in a rut where I'm playing great defense. All of a sudden, I'll have 2 or 3 games like right now where I don't feel real comfortable. And I came out here early today and try to get my rhythm back defensively. It's the same as hitting. I mean, you know that's the same. You can get in a spell bad offensively just like defense, and right now, you know, you try to get out of it.
Offensively, no trouble in this series. 7 for 10.
Isn't it refreshing to hear a player say, yeah, I'm having a tough time in the field right now? Hey, he's not comfortable. You have peaks and valleys, and you might as well own up to them and say, well, you know, I just had a bad break and made air. Hey, I'm shaky out here right now. But it'll get better.
Fouled away. Well, there's another third baseman with the Royals that didn't start like a Gold Glove winner, George Brett.
Well, he said that Jeffries reminds him an awful lot of himself at third when he first came up, and I saw George Brett come up. He had an awful lot of promise, and we all felt he was going to hit, but third base was an adventure at times. He'd launch an awful lot of throws over there in the dirt, up into the seats. But he worked hard at it and eventually won a Gold Glove. Brett thinks that Jeffries is going to be a very fine player.
Ball and 2 strikes to Jeffries from David Wells. 4th inning, 2-0 Toronto. Fouled off 1 and 2.
Jim, it's just like anything any of us undertakes. It's just a matter of confidence. Right now, Jeffrey doesn't have a whole lot of confidence in the field. So even some of his teammates holler from the bench when he gets the ground ball, throw it, don't think about it. So he's going through a time, but he'll get over it. He's aware of it, so he knows that he's got to work on it.
You know, when you look back at the crazy 2nd inning here, before he made the throw to McFarland at the plate and got Maldonado in the rundown, he almost threw the ball to first to get Borders. He looked like he wanted to and then thought better of it. He's out. Strikeout victim number 5 for David Wells.
Well, a good battle, but Jeffries goes down. Looks like David Wells threw the changeup here. Look how he's out in his front foot. Well-thrown changeup gets Jeffries after a lengthy battle with David Wells. Jeffries fouled off a couple of tough pitches and then goes down swinging.
Wells working quickly has mixed all his pitches. George Brett hit that one. 2nd hit off Wells, the first for Brett tonight.
Over the years, Brett has had the reputation for being able to hit the best fastball in the world. But he has slowed somewhat, and he has made the adjustment to sit back and look for breaking balls. Look at Devon White out in center field. Playing a trick on Brett, trying to get him to go to second base. That's what baseball's all about. Brett likes that kind of stuff. Yeah, he almost got me to go.
Brett's aboard for Kevin McReynolds. One away, fourth inning. And there'll be a meeting on the mound. 1 ball, no strikes on McReynolds. McReynolds seemed so miscast when he was with the Mets. All the things that went on that team, there was Gooden in trouble, Strawberry was always shooting off, Jeffries was in the spotlight, and there was McReynolds. He'd slip out to left and then slip out of the park ever so quietly.
It was almost like Johnny Cash doing the Met. He was just really out of place. He's one of those baseball players who just comes in, does his job very quietly, very consistently, puts up 20 homers, 80-plus RBIs, goes about his business. When the trade was made, he was at home in Arkansas, and a reporter from Kansas City called him up and said, "Kevin, I want to get your reaction to the trade." He said, "How'd you get my phone number?" He said, "Well, I got it through my source." He says, "Well, rip it up and don't call me back." See ya. I'll talk to you in spring training.
Two balls and a strike on McReynolds with Brett over at first base. Two to nothing Toronto, fourth inning. Two and two. Got the outside part of the plate, or so said through Coble.
Take a look at this last pitch and watch McReynolds' reaction. Looks out the outside corner and just kind of moseys over to the corner to have a very subtle look at that outside corner as if to say, "Are you sure that was a strike?"
Message without a word. Fouled away at 2-2. McReynolds doubled in his last at-bat, one of 2 hits off Wells. Ball got away from Borders, but it wasn't far away from him. Counts 3-2. Closed captioning of tonight's game is funded partially by Labatt Brewers. We've often talked in recent days about the Blue Jays' need for good performances by Stottlemyre, Steve, Key, and Wells down the stretch. Key got a win 2 nights ago. Steve was very good for 6 innings last night. Wells is really dealing tonight. Todd Stottlemyre pitches tomorrow against the Yankees. They could all get it right this week. 3-2 pitch, hit on a line to center field, caught by Devon White. Brett goes back to first, 2 away.
Well, the thing about it is, Jim, it was only the last part of that 11-game trip where people started getting concerned, but if the pitchers that you've mentioned can pitch up to the way that Cito Gaston and Galen Cisco had anticipated coming out of the spring, and Dave Steve is an important factor there, they don't need to make any deals. But the concern about Guzman's back, whether or not he will indeed be able to make his start Monday in Boston against Roger Clemens and the Red Sox, will be very interesting.
He was loosening up today. Strike 1 to Wally Joyner. Guzman did not pitch off the mound and throw hard today, but he loosened up in preparation for doing that tomorrow. Just some soft tossing with the trainer. And there were no problems, so tomorrow he'll turn it up a notch on the side off the mound.
And I would imagine if he's less than 100%, they will just skip him again.
Sure. 0-2 fouled off the mask. This is earlier today in the outfield. Guzman, who's had to completely shut everything down except his usual routine of running the stairs and keeping in shape that way, was tossed very softly with the trainer, Tommy Craig, and reported no soreness, no problem. So tomorrow he'll pitch and see how it feels.
And after Steve gave him 6 pretty good innings, they can just put Steve back in there Monday if they want. Wait Guzman out.
An 0-2 ground ball to Roberto Alomar. That's all for Kansas City in the 4th. A hit and a man stranded to the bottom of inning number 4. Wells and the Blue Jays lead 2-0. This is Labatt. Blue Jays baseball on TSN.
In the heat of competition, records will be broken, and so will hearts. But no matter what happens, one endurance record will never fall. Duracell. You can't top the copper top.
Benjamin Moore is sold just about everywhere. Painter said it's best. Because our best salesmen
Yeah, we painted the bedroom last week.
are the people who use us.
It looks great.
Good. It's the only paint I use. See your Benjamin Moore dealer.
Say hello to orange and raspberry, the 2 coolest flavors to hit 7-Up since the Ice Age. New 7-Up Raspberry Chill and new 7-Up Orange Chill. When summer's gone, they're gone. Orange Chill and Raspberry Chill. Thrill to the chill.
Every day at Esso, we go to extremes. From desert heat to minus 40. Quality is essential to us. It's a lot of time, and it's a lot of care.
Our gasoline goes through at least 16 different quality control tests. Nothing is left to chance. Quality is too important. From the first test to the last stop.
At Esso, you can count on all of us for the quality of our products.
Aren't many tickets left for any Blue Jay games, but if you're planning to be around, you can get them for all 4 games of this series against the Cleveland Indians, who are giving all sorts of teams all sorts of troubles in September. There's Damo Garcia, familiar face to Blue Jay fans, and his appearance in the last couple of days has brought back a lot of fond Blue Jay memories for a lot of people, including you, Buck.
Yeah, it was great to see Damo. Of course, he's had the problem with the tumor and taking chemotherapy now, but I was really happy to see him good and strong. He went down the batting cage, took some batting practice, took some ground balls out on the field, and there's Tony Kubek on his left, the New York Yankee announcer who's in here for the weekend series, but everybody was happy to see Damo. It was interesting to watch the young Latin players on the Royals introducing some of the players that Damo wouldn't have known, and they wouldn't have known him, but making sure that they got to know Damo Garcia from the Dominican, who is a very good player and well thought of on his native island.
Certainly is. I remember in '89 when he was with the Montreal Expos. In every city that Montreal stopped in batting practice, there was a cluster of Dominican players around Damo Garcia. A ground ball here for Joyner, and Olrud is out. They all respected him so. And part of that is because he was one of the leaders of the second wave. There were a lot of Dominicans that came to the major leagues early, but then there was Griffin and Garcia and Bell, and in the 70s they led the second wave and gained so much respect and were idols in their own country for that, and still are, because they were such great players. But they had idols before them. Damos was saying today that one of the great players from the Dominican that he idolized was Felipe Alou, and he's so happy that he's doing well in Montreal, and made the comparison of Alou to Bobby Cox. Said the reason they do so well is because they have respect for their players and let them play.
They expect you to give everything you have, but give you the latitude to go out there and be your own man, but still, when that game starts, they want you to be as intense as they are. Felipe Alou has turned his club around, and now they're legitimate contenders for that title in the East.
2-0 here to Maldonado. Now 3-0. And so he'd be happy to see that Felipe Alou and the Expos are up 5-1. While Pittsburgh and St. Louis are scoreless in the fourth inning. Dead heat atop the standings in the National League East between Pittsburgh and Montreal. It's a title up for grabs that eluded Damo and the Expos in '89, and he still shakes his head and says, I don't know how we didn't win. Popped up, second baseman Shumpert makes the catch. Maldonado's out.
Winning is hard. Lots of things have to fall into place. You can have a very good team, and somebody goes in a slump, or you miss a pitcher for a couple of turns through the rotation. It's a lot of talent. You have to have the talent. You have to have the ability, but more sometimes the breaks can really go against you and cost you when you think you should have won.
Inside. In the case of the National League East, you have to be able to win at Shea Stadium, and the '89 Expos couldn't. Kelly Gruber lost his bat. Also got a base hit.
Kelly Gruber loses the bat down the third base line. He's trying to go without batting gloves. You can see he doesn't have any batting gloves on, and he feels he has a better feel for the bat, but the bat doesn't stay in his hands as well as it does when he's got gloves on. Take a look here. He likes the way it feels, but boy, that bat handle flies right out of his hand. He uses one of those knobless bats. There's no knob on the end of it.
Pat Borders is up. Runner on first, 2 away. Blue Jays fourth inning. Toronto leads 2-0. Fouled away, 1-1.
You know, Jim, talking about Damo Garcia, think back to the '82 season. It was the first year that Bobby Cox was the manager. Damo was put in the leadoff spot. He just came into his own. He became a spark plug player, hit .310 for the season, had 185 hits, stole a lot of bases, and basically was instrumental in the turnaround of the organization. '82 is the year where everybody started to believe that the organization was going to be a winning one. Bobby Cox had a lot to do with that, but as Garcia related, he said, hey, you guys are good. Go out there and play hard and you'll win. The players got a lot of confidence from that, and that carried right on through the entire season.
1-1 pitch to Borders. Checked his swing, fouled the pitch off, 1-2.
You talk to Cito Gaston, he still believes that the '83 ball club was the best hitting ball club of all of them. Overall, the depth that there was on the ball club, the abilities, you look at the '83 season, Damo hit .307, Barry Bonnell hit .318, Bosby hit .315. There was a lot of balance. Cliff Johnson, 22 homers. Jesse Barfield is coming into his own, hit 27 home runs. Willie Upshaw hit 27 homers, hit .306, and drove in 104. So Cito still has a soft spot in his heart for that '83 ball club. But still wasn't the championship caliber. Good pitch there.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Aquino to Pat Borders. Kelly Gruber at first base and 2 outs. So you can bet there's a little reminiscing going on in that private box tonight. Fly ball, right center field. McRae had to run hard. He did. Got there. Makes the catch. Borders is out. Gruber is stranded. 2-0 Toronto. On to the 5th at Skydome. This is Labatt Blue Jays baseball on TSN.
I got the key to the highway. Built out and bound to go.
When you're a long way from home,
Because you haven't done nothing but
got no shirt on your back,
a good man away from home.
and no roof over your head. Yeah, that's the blues.
Since 1880, Imperial Oil has served not only customers, but the dreams of Canadians through the support of good causes. Today, Imperial Oil sponsors 1,500 charitable organizations and Canada's 125th birthday. You could say we've been supporting the future of Canada for the past 112 years.
You're on your way.
The Jays are at home to square off against the boys from the Bronx. Catch a weekend of excitement, Saturday at 1 and Sunday at 1:30 Eastern. Blue Jays Baseball on Real TV, TSN.
2-0 for the Toronto Blue Jays over the Kansas City Royals to the 5th inning at Skydome. Stay tuned following tonight's game for the TSN Turning Point, brought to you by Apple Auto Glass.
Some things in life are perfectly clear. Repairing your windshield instead of replacing it makes sense. An unrepaired windshield becomes 50 pounds of unrecyclable garbage. Let Apple repair that stone chip and do your part for the environment.
You can get just about anything at the concession stands at Skydome in Toronto.
Good old apple juice.
I wonder if you could get a bottle full of popcorn.
Ooh, boy, that'd be tough getting it through the nipple, wouldn't it? You gotta be some strong baby.
Mike McFarland, catcher for the Kansas City Royals, leads Hal McRae's team to the plate, 5th inning. Number 6 hitter in the order. He hits the ball hard to center field. White runs to the spot, turns, and makes the catch. It's amazing how he does that. Knows where the ball is going to be, so he just charges to the spot, stops, turns, and catches.
For all you youngsters watching tonight, the reason Devon White can play so well is because he practices. He goes out there every day during batting practice, so he knows his territory. He knows how far the ball is going to carry. This just doesn't happen during the course of 9 innings. You've got to get out there and practice and master your position.
Gary Thurman's up. He struck out in the 2nd. Cued the ball foul off the end of the bat. Strike 1. This is one of David Wells' finest performances so far into the 5th inning. He's given up just 2 hits. All of his pitches are working. Fastball missed, 1-1.
Jim, you remember back at the Seattle start after Jimmy Key started and gave up 3 home runs? David Wells was really indecisive on how he was going to pitch that game, and it led to all kinds of problems. David Wells is a high fastball curveball pitcher, and he made up his mind he was going to pitch low because the Mariners had hit 3 home runs the night before off Jimmy Key.
Just out of the reach of John Ulrich. 1-2.
The point being that if you're a power pitcher and have that good fastball can work hitters upstairs, you got to stay with your strength. And I think David and Pat Borders both had some indecisiveness as they went to the mound that night, and they struggled through that ball game. It was a situation where David didn't give himself enough credit for what he was throwing, and it eventually led to a rough night for him.
Ball and 2 strikes. Over the hand of Wells. Barehanded by Alomar, not in time. to get Thurman, who gets down the line very quickly because the ball took a slow bounce up over Wells, who thinks he should have had it. Alomar really didn't have a chance to throw him out.
Well, I think Wells knew that it was a base hit. As he reaches for it, he knows he can't come up with it. He screamed at, oh no. He knows it's just a long shot for Alomar, and Thurman's well by the bag at first with a base hit.
Yeah, you're right. I don't think he had any chance to get that. Milwaukee Brewers had a tough time with Cleveland. Now they're playing Minnesota 1-0.
Chris Bazio on the mound for the Brewers against Willie Banks for the Twins. How about the A's going into Minnesota?
Twins might be angry and take it out on Milwaukee after Oakland moved into first place playing against them. 6 in a row the Athletics have won. That one's out of the reach of Wells as well. Lee, Alomar, Orud pulled off the bag and can't get David Howard. They get the force at second. 2 out.
Take a look at this. He's behind the bag. That's why he flips to Alomar. His momentum had taken him behind the bag at second base, and he couldn't have gotten back to take it himself. He has to flip to Alomar. It's an awkward double play. 2 speedy base runners, and the Blue Jays just get the force out.
2 out and a man at first for Terry Shumpert. Shumpert hit a fly ball to right in the 3rd. Strike 1.
Jim, this fine pitching performance started in the first inning. When he came out, made up his mind he was going to get the curveball over. He threw some very good curveballs, put that on the hitters' minds, and then that gave him an extra 16, 18 inches on his fastball. So he threw all of his pitches early in the ball game.
He pitched Shumpert inside. Shumpert popped the ball up. Orud on his way to the dugout makes the catch. Base hit. No problem for Wells, though. The runner's stranded aboard. Bottom of the 5th inning. He's got a 2-0 lead. This is Labatt Blue Jays baseball on TSN.
It was early in the day with all systems A-OK.
This control, what's that noise?
This is control. That was Kellogg's Raisin Bran.
Say again?
Kellogg's Raisin Bran.
What's in it?
That's 2 scoops of plump, juicy raisins and whole grain flakes with bran.
They were all set to go, but he just had to know.
How many scoops?
2 scoops of raisins in a package of Kellogg's Raisin Bran.
Got the engine.
Where's that Kellogg's Raisin Bran?
At age 74, I'm the oldest Ironman triathlete.
Jim Ward has a hobby. It's called staying young.
It's a workout.
That's why he uses Armor All protectant on his dash, seats, and especially his tires. Rubber can age and crack, but Armor All penetrates to keep his tires looking like new. Jim says his tires never seem to get old. People say the same thing about Jim.
I like a good-looking car. It makes me feel good.
There is a fountain of youth, and we own the patent. Armor All.
I gotta run.
I want you to meet them at the airport. Take my Sonata, get them booked into a hotel, and come back here for the presentation.
Don't expect this kind of treatment from just any car. Right now, for a limited time, Sonata is priced to move from just $10,995. The 92 Sonata from today's Hyundai.
If you're watching tonight, I guess yours does too. And we welcome you to this broadcast of the Kansas City Royals Toronto Blue Jays game from Skydome in Toronto. I'm Jim Houston with Buck Martinez in the broadcast booth. And we'll be back here on Saturday afternoon as the New York Yankees are in for a 4-game series. Game number 2 at 1 Eastern on Saturday afternoon has a great pitching matchup with Melito Perez against Jack Morris. Weather will probably be lousy in the East, so you might as well stay in and watch it. And out west, you can join us for baseball brunch.
Breakfast at the Skydome. Melito Perez, number 3 in the league in strikeouts. He's just 6 behind Clemens and 1 behind Juan Guzman. What a fine year for the Yankees.
Manny Lee, the number 9 hitter for Cito Gaston's Blue Jays, leading off the 5th inning against Louis Aquino, giving up 2 runs on 5 hits. Things could have been worse. The first and second innings, he opened up with back-to-back hits and pitched out of trouble, giving up only 1 run. Both innings, he ended up with runners at first and third and nobody out.
Jim, he came out of spring training with a bad shoulder, went right on the DL on April 11th. Wasn't activated until the 19th of July. So it's been a long haul for Louis Aquino.
Shoulder problems have compounded things for the Royals trying to get better. Mark Gubicza has a bad shoulder. Mike Boddicker a bad back. 2 pitchers that are disabled. 1-2 to Lee, hit to center field. McRae makes the catch, 1 away. Friendly tap, and I got you this time from Aquino.
Couple former teammates, exchanging. You're 0 for 2.
There's a strike and an off-speed pitch to Devon White. He's 1 for 2. Singled and scored in the first, grounded out in the second. Rips the ball foul here in the 5th. 0-2.
Darwood Merrill from Hooks, Texas. Crew chief. He packed the glove and finally made a play. With the help of a friend.
Strikeout. And that's the first of the night for Louis Aquino.
Well, he's got a couple of different off-speed pitches. This looks like a changeup that gets away from him and Devon White chases it outside. Yeah, he got fooled on that badly. He was up the front leg. Goes down swinging.
Strikeout number 82 for Devon White, who leads the team in that department. 2 away here, and Roberto Alomar up. 1 for 2, a single and a ground ball to second.
Aquino's getting in a groove here in the middle innings of the ball game. Starting out Alomar with that off-speed breaking ball. Gets a little more of a curve ball spin there. Aquino had trouble with his rib cage last year. Not for a while.
Joyner. Aquino covers in a 1-2-3 inning for Louis Aquino against the Blue Jays in the 5th. And this game moves to the 6th with the Blue Jays leading 2-0. This is Labatt Blue Jays baseball on TSN. With happenings elsewhere in the world of sport, Paul Romanek's up next.
This sports update is brought to you by Toyota, the promise of something better.
The Montreal Expos in action tonight against the Philadelphia Phillies. Montreal tied for first place in the National League East with the Pittsburgh Pirates, and we'll pick this one up in the bottom of the first inning. Good start for Larry Walker of the Montreal Expos. A man on board, and he jerks one over the wall and right, and it's 2-0 for Montreal on Walker's 18th home run of the year. Move to the 3rd. Greg Colburn will double to the gap, and Walker will come around to score to put the Expos up 5-1. And Montreal has subsequently added to that lead. Montreal running away on the Phillies early in this one. They're only in the 5th inning. They lead 7-1. Philadelphia's only run a homer from Dykstra, his 5th of the year. Now this.
Maybe the way it looks makes Tercel your pride and joy. Maybe its performance makes Tercel your pride and joy. Maybe how it passes fuel stops makes it your pride and joy. Maybe it's how others see you in it makes Tercel your pride and joy. But maybe, just maybe, pride has nothing to do with your joy. Toyota Tercel, the promise of something better.
The biggest news of the day, this. Mark Tewksbury, a gold medal, 53.98 seconds, bettering the Olympic time of 54.51. Back to Jim and Buck.
I was reading this morning how all of the coaches on that swim team are about to be fired. I guess they'll all get long-term deals now. And this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of Toronto Blue Jays Baseball Club and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without the express written consent of Toronto Blue Jays Baseball Club. There's a nice get up for the game.
Yeah, let's go out Thursday night, dress up, look silly.
No.
They're Blue Jay fans. The pom-pom heads. What a great race for Mark Tewksbury to win that. Just about, what do you think, inch and a half? He out-touched the American.
Yeah. 6/100ths of a second that will make so much difference in the rest of his life.
No matter how many times you see it, or which country it is, when you see an athlete standing at the top of the podium, listening to his national anthem, it chokes you up.
Sure does.
Proud day for Canada.
David Wells working to Brian McRae here, the one-strike pitch. 0-2. Curveball, fouled into the dirt at 0-2. 3 hits off Wells, a double in the second by McReynolds, single in the fourth by Brett, single in the fifth by Thurman. He's really been in control. His team got him a couple of runs early, one in the first, one in the second. Low fastball, fouled off. Inside on the hands and fought off foul. David is 3-2 since returning to the rotation. 3-2 in 6 starts, an earned run average of almost 5. 0-2 hit on a line to left and caught by Maldonado. One away.
That's a high changeup that McRae lines to left field. Maldonado running. These things sometimes get to the lights, but that one's down around the knees. He makes a nice running grab and puts the bare hand over the top of it to clamp that ball in there. Boy, he's been playing a pretty decent left field for the Blue Jays lately.
Greg Jeffries hits it out Maldonado's way, and he's there for that one too. A vacuum cleaner in left. That looked like it might get over his head off the wall, but he closed ground in a hurry.
Well, he comes in on the line drive by McRae and now has to retreat. Takes it just short of the warning track in left field. Jeffries hit it well, but Maldonado closes the gap and makes the play. Now, see, there's a good sign of a good outfielder. Puts his head down and runs to the spot. You don't run all the time watching the ball. You see it, you judge where it's going, and then you put your head down and run hard.
That's so hard to do, though.
It's actually harder to run and look at the ball at the same time. You don't get to run full speed. So when you have a judgment of where it's going, put your head down and go after it and look up, and hopefully the ball's
Yeah, hopefully. These guys know it's going to be there. For most of us, you run to the spot, you turn, you get it in the side of the head.
Well, I've seen you play the outfield. That's why we have you playing second base most of the time.
Or you run, you turn, and it's over your head. Ball and 2 strikes.
No, definitely. As a left fielder, you make a great second baseman.
Thank you very much. Can't believe you're on the same team as George Brett.
Yeah, I'm the one that got him started. I told him he should try hitting like this, and look what it's done for him.
There's the 1-2 from Wells to George Brett. Missed 2-2.
They were talking about it in Hal McRae's office before the game, how George used to hit like Carl Yastrzemski with a bat way up high over his shoulder and had a long looping swing. And Charlie Lau, the late great hitting instructor for the Royals, convinced him that he had to be short and quick. And it's got him on his way to the Hall of Fame.
You notice when you're watching the Royals that George has that patented helmet with the pine tar all over the top? Watch as this game progresses and see how many Royals come to the plate with the same kind of hat. Most teams, everybody has the nice shiny helmet. Royals have a whole bunch of pine tar hats. Works for George. It's not a bad thing for everyone else. He got him. David Wells did a little dance around first as he got the throw from John Olerud. But he made the play to get George Brett.
And George Brett, at 39 years old, still hustles down the line and makes it bang-bang at first base.
3 up and 3 down to the bottom of the 6th inning. It's 2-0 Toronto. This is Labatt Blue Jays baseball on TSN.
Rocket fuel.
Children grow up so fast. Jesse may look safe, but his head is more than halfway above the top of his seat. He could be hurt in an accident. At Esso, looking out for your safety is part of our service. So remember, Jesse would be safer in a booster seat with a regular seatbelt. Drive safely. Pick up our brochure of road safety information. It's free at your local Esso.
To me, good service also means getting you safely on your way.
You're on your way, Esso.
What's so daring about new Prism car polish? It's not how you put it on, but how you take it off.
Introducing new Prism Car Polish. It's the first and only spray-away approach to car polishing. Just wipe it on and spray it off. And in half the time, you get a durable shine. No huffing, no puffing, no buffing. New Prism, the only spray-away car polish.
Skydome in Toronto, where the roof is closed and all the lights are on. And all the seats are full. Joe Carter leads the Blue Jays to the plate in the 6th inning, leading Kansas City 2-0 in the final game of this series. Blue Jays will welcome the Yankees in tomorrow for 4 as they get back into the American League East. Louis Aquino to Joe Carter. Foul ball. Carter's 0 for 2 tonight. 1 for his last 26. An RBI and a sacrifice fly in the first, and he grounded out to short in the 3rd. One and one. Kino's done a nice job holding the Blue Jays to just a hit through the 3rd, 4th, and 5th innings. Fair ball. Over the bag at third base, and Carter's got a hit. It's a double.
Joe Carter gets that fastball inside. Now that's the pitch that has given him trouble in the past. This time he hooks it, but keeps it there, just over the bag at third. Jeffries doesn't react to it. He knows he doesn't have a shot. Tim McClellan says fair ball, goes down into the corner. Carter has the leadoff double.
So Dave Winfield is up 0 for 2. 0 for this series. Nobody out and a runner in scoring position. Strike one.
Keno's located very well all night long. He has spotted the fastball to both sides of the strike zone, changed speeds on his breaking pitches, and kept the breaking ball down and away from the right-handed hitters.
Fought off foul by Winfield, 0-2.
Tom Gordon, the right-hander, starts to throw for Hal McRae down in the bullpen. Gordon marched into McRae's office last night and said, "I want to be traded." Mac looked at him and said, "Flash, what's the deal?" Kind of laughed and said, "Okay, fine. No, Flash, you're not going to get traded. Everything's fine. Just go out there and do your job. And tell your agent I'm not mad at you either."
Sharply hit. Carter scrambles back to second base. Winfield's thrown out at first. 1 out. Following tonight's game, we'll select the bat player of the game for the Royals on behalf of Eureka Bravo Boss Vacuum. New Bravo Boss 6.5 amps onboard attachments, cleans everywhere, new from Eureka. A cash donation will be made to the Canadian Special Olympics on behalf of the Royals player of the game and Eureka.
This meeting right here, McRae's coming out to talk to Aquino about John Olerud. Got a base open. His club's down by 2 runs, and they want to make sure that they have a plan. Either you put him on or you pitch very carefully to him. Mike McFarland says, now get over there on that side. Olerud's been a very hot hitter. In this game, batting .296, down to .294 as we speak, 0 for 2. He mentioned that Hal McRae always had a guy in his lineup that he didn't want him to hurt him. For McRae, that hitter is Joe Carter. So he's going to have Aquino pitch carefully right here because he has a base open. That's a high fastball. He's got a right-handed hitter, Maldonado on deck. 1 out. He can set up a potential double play if they decide to put Olerud on. Watch how they pitch to him with this at bat. McFarland set up inside, misses inside.
2-0.
If you make up a decision to pitch around the guy, you want to make sure that you stay with that plan. 215 for Olerud in this situation.
Check swing comebacker. And Aquino throws him out. And I suppose there's an example of why you don't give him the intentional walk and you pitch to him carefully, because there's always a chance you'll get an out.
That's exactly right. Everybody said if you're going to pitch around him, why don't you go ahead and walk him? Well, this is why you don't go ahead and give him the intentional walk. Maybe he'll chase your pitch. And that's what Olerud does. The check swing tapper right back to the mound. Aquino chases Carter back to second. But that's what happens. Now, you don't have this opportunity to get the additional out if you're just giving him the intentional pass. So Aquino pitches Olerud to perfection.
3 pitches that were balls and he lucked out. Candy Maldonado, 1 for 2, is at the plate. Inside, ball 1.
Now he's going to make Maldonado hit his pitch as well. He still has the base open. Their scouts watch Maldonado on the West Coast trip and recognize he's swinging a hot bat right now.
Fair ball by Jeffries. That'll cash a run. Hot-hitting Candy Maldonado is driven home. Carter Ball got stuck down in left field.
I don't think they intended to throw this ball over the plate. Maldonado keeps it fair. Jeffries tries to knock it down, but it slips by his glove. Goes down into the left field corner and sticks underneath that padding. That's a ground rule double. Maldonado picks up the RBI. He's 2 for 2 with an RBI tonight.
And I think he's just chased Louis Aquino. Hal McRae out to the mound.
I said 2 for 2. He's 2 for 3. Single and a double, and that's going to be all for Louis Aquino. He had made good pitches to Olerud, but right there had a base open and threw too good of a fastball to Maldonado, and it chases him right out of the ball game.
Maldonado's average continues to creep up. So does his RBI total, now at 38. And Aquino's out of the game, and Tom Flash Gordon, long man, middle reliever, comes on for Hal McRae's Kansas City Royals. This pitching change is brought to you by the Mutual Group. Top-notch financial products and services. The Mutual Group and you facing tomorrow together.
In sports or in life, setting a target and reaching it isn't always easy. The Mutual Group can help you visualize your goals. From life insurance to mortgages, we have the products and expertise to bring your goals clearly into view. The Mutual Group and you, facing tomorrow together.
Given that he's just back off the disabled list, was only making his 3rd start, doesn't have a lot of innings, Louis Aquino didn't figure to be in the game for much longer anyway. Now he's gone after 5 2/3, and Gordon takes over.
Tom Gordon was the American League Rookie Pitcher of the Year back in '86. Came onto the scene in a flash. And Flash Gordon has one of the better curveballs in the league. Tom Gordon comes from Avon Park, Florida, same place that Hal McRae's from. So I think Hal McRae has a little bit of a soft spot in his heart for Gordon. He'd like to see him do well. So when Gordon marched into his office last night and said, I think I should be traded so I can go someplace to pitch, Hal just kind of took him under his wing and said, listen, Tom, don't worry about it. You're going to pitch. I have a role for you. It's the middleman, the long man, and I still have a lot of confidence in you. There just haven't been too many situations where I need a long or middleman, but you're going to pitch.
So sure enough, here tonight, he needs it. 5 2/3 for Aquino. Here's the line on Louis Aquino. 5 2/3, 7 hits. He gave up 3 runs and is responsible for Maldonado. Didn't walk a man, struck out 1 on 79 pitches. A similar outing to his last one, although in Cleveland last time out he won 8 3. And in 6 innings gave up 7 hits and 1 earned run. A couple more runs. Kelly Gruber's 2 for 2, pair of singles. Gordon's 1-0 pitch. 2-0.
McFarland trying to get him to follow through with that curveball. He's kind of casting it out there, but not finishing up with his hand. Just leaving it up out of the strike zone. You've really got to drive through with that curveball and allow your hand to come all the way across your body and finish up same spot. All 3 breaking balls right in the same spot. Just not finishing them up.
3-0 to Gruber. 2 out. Pat Borders on deck. And now they're just going to put Gruber on.
Now, if you were Pat Borders, you might step in the box, think about getting the fastball because Gordon had struggled with his curveball. Not guess fastball, but certainly have it in your mind. If he throws you that first ball fastball, be ready to jump all over it.
Borders is usually ready for that anyway. He likes the first ball fastball, and he likes to go after it.
There it was.
He didn't go after it. Breaking ball stays up again. Ball and a strike.
See, now McFarland's going to go out and remind Tom Gordon that you've got to be patient with your curveball. You can't try to throw it too hard. It's a touch pitch. Allow yourself to get your hand on top and finish it up.
Exactly what he's doing.
Now, you know Hal McRae made light of the situation, but I'm sure Tom Gordon, to him, it's a very big situation to muster up the gumption to walk into the manager's office and tell him you want to be traded. It's quite a big deal.
2-1. A lot of pitchers, especially young pitchers, can't accept the middle relief role. Two and one. Fastball. It was high and hit hard to left center field and caught by McRae on the warning track. And Gordon got the out he needed to get out of the sixth. Needed all the ballpark to get it. The Blue Jays got a run on a couple of hits, doubles by Carter and Maldonado, and have a 3-0 lead for David Wells. This is Labatt Blue Jays baseball on TSN.
Benjamin Moore is sold just about everywhere.
My painter says it's best.
Because our best salesmen
Yeah, we painted the bedroom last week.
are the people who use us.
It looks great.
It's the only paint I use.
See your Benjamin Moore dealer.
Forgive me, but have you ever seen the sunrise over Kathmandu?
No.
Have you ever swam with stingrays up the Great Barrier Reef? Oh, well then I suppose you've never even parachuted into a volcano. That didn't work.
Have you ever tried a Labatt Extra Dry?
No.
Well, then I'd say we both have things to discover.
Labatt Extra Dry. Double chilled for superb taste with no aftertaste. Extraordinary. There's one cake so good, it will keep you coming back for more. McCain Deep and Delicious Cakes, sealed with a see-through dome to keep in all that rich, moist, deliciously fresh taste. So, you can raid the cake tray, seal up the rest, and put it back in the freezer. Till you're ready for the very next craving. And now for people who fantasize about chocolate, Deep and Delicious Chocolate Deluxe from McCain.
Hello, everybody. I'm Vic Roder in Barcelona. Some 300 Canadian athletes will be participating in these 25th Summer Olympic Games. I hope you'll join me daily on Sports Desk for my interviews and feature reports. And it's only here on TSN.
I think discussion in the bullpen centers around trading deadline tonight. Candy Maldonado said yes, the players do think and talk about it. Dwayne Ward concurs.
Well, I mean, I think that's the only trades that are, floating in a clubhouse are guys that you would like to have on your team. I mean, it's not like, what, is possible of getting over here and helping out a ball club or what, or what we're going to have to give up to get somebody, better or whatever over here. To me, it's like, a lot of wishful thinking about, guys like a David Cohn or, even a Greg Maddux or maybe even Kirby Puckett, because he's a free agent, going to be at the end of the year, Cal Ripken, a shortstop. So that's a lot of wishful thinking. It's not, guys that we're sitting down going, well, this guy would be a good addition or this guy would be a good addition. I think it's all a lot of, wishful thinking.
Probably a lot of different thinking depending on the clubhouse. The Blue Jays might have a wish list. Players on another team that don't have a hope of winning might be thinking the other way. Who's going to get a chance to go and play on a winner?
And in a lot of situations, that's all you have to look for. Go out and play hard and hopefully catch a break and get traded. Back to Maldonado. Came from Milwaukee. He was thrust right into a pennant race last year.
Ball and a strike. David Wells to Kevin McReynolds, who's 1 for 2 with a double and a fly ball to center field. He's the cleanup hitter for the Royals.
That was a very animated protest from Kevin McReynolds right there. He strolled away from home plate, disagreeing with the umpire's called strike.
Tick the fastball, 1-2. Sharp breaking ball in the dirt. 2-2.
Well, Jim, you mentioned it. This is a big boost for David Wells. To come out here and be in command like he has been through 6 solid innings. Been all around the plate all night long. Been able to throw whatever pitch he wants. At any count.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Curveball, missed 3-2. Buck, you often talk about pitchers needing positive reinforcement early in the game to get them going. I look back to the at-bat against George Brett in the first inning. There was really a good battle against a great hitter. And Wells struck him out, had a 1-2-3 inning, and he's cruised. That was positive reinforcement. That positively hurt. 3-2.
Borders catches one right on the chest protector. Remember how you used to stand as kids in grammar school and punch each other in the chest just to see how much you could make it hurt?
3-2.
Pat Borders has done a fine job making the transition to an everyday player, taking command of the pitching staff behind the plate, and at the same time not losing anything at the plate. There's a changeup that drifts high out of the strike zone. First walk of the night. And Cisco has to be pleased with this performance.
Well, you may have heard in the background, David's not particularly pleased with what just happened. His pupil has a 3-0 lead. Now he'll face Wally Joyner. 3 hits, a walk, 5 strikeouts. And an easy night for the pen. They've been just kicking back. Just foul. Joyner wasn't sure. Dropped his bat, took a couple of steps, was willing it fair, but I think knew in his heart it was moving foul.
Dwayne Ward worked on Tuesday night here against the Royals and threw very effectively.
Since David moved back into the rotation, he hasn't gone more than 7 innings. In his last 3, he's been through only 6. So it figures that the Blue Jays would get somebody up about this time of the game. 1-1.
Well, if you have a pitcher breezing through a ball game and economizing on his pitches, you'll ask him to throw a bit more, stretch him out a little bit later into the game. But at this point, particularly with the questionable status of the rotation right now, you might want to shut down a starting pitcher a little bit early instead of an inning or 2 later. So his next start, he will be that much fresher. They have the bullpen depth to go ahead and make the move. Dave Stieb, 6 innings, 6 hits last night. Remember what I said about the curveball, the left-handed hitters with 2 strikes? They're always waiting back. Joyner had the curveball on his mind, but Wells crosses him up, paints the inside corner with the fastball, and Joyner just turns and walks back to the dugout.
There you go. Walk and a strikeout, 1 away, man on first base, and Mike McFarland's up. He's 0 for 2. He's struck out and flied out. Pops the ball back foul, strike 1. The Blue Jays have a very short homestand. It's only 6 games. Played 3 games against the Yankees on the weekend. I think I told you 4 before. It's only 3. Monday they're in Boston at the start of a road trip. 19 of the next 24 after this homestand are on the road. Going to make the most of playing in Skydome right now. center. McFarland's out. 2 away, man on first. Toronto leading. Baltimore's already lost 6-3, so fallen 3.5 back. Could be 4 if the Blue Jays hold on here. Milwaukee with a 1-0 lead over the Twins, 6th inning. Fazio and Banks run in the 3rd inning. In the National League, the Expos lead the game 7-1. Marquise Grissom left the game in the 5th inning after being hit in the head by a pitch. And Pittsburgh, co-leaders in the National League East, in a scoreless draw in St. Louis, or at home to St. Louis. Another line drive to center field. 2 in a row. Thurman's up. Royals are finished in the 7th. A leadoff walk, but Wells bounced back and got 3 in a row. So he leads as we go to the 7th inning stretch at Skydome. This is Labatt Blue Jays baseball on TSN.
If you've ever had acid indigestion, what I'm about to show you is surprising. Think of this rose as your stomach. Watch what happens when I dip it in concentrated acid. Serious stuff. Now, watch how Pepto-Bismol coats this rose and works to protect it. Don't suffer with indigestion. Get the effective coating action of Pepto-Bismol. Serious medicine for your stomach.
I want you to meet them at the airport. Take my Sonata, get them booked into a hotel, and come back here for the invitation. Don't expect this kind of treatment from just any car. Right now, for a limited time, Sonata is priced to move from just $10,995. The 92 Sonata from today's Hyundai.
Stand by 3 and EDO. Come to lineup.
The Jays are at home to square off against the boys from the Bronx. Catch a weekend of excitement Saturday at 1 and Sunday at 1:30 Eastern. Blue Jays baseball on Real TV, TSN.
Blue Jays trying to win this game and this series 2-1, have a 3-0 lead. Just told you, a report from Montreal said that Marquise Grissom had been hit in the head and left the game. The Expos outfielder has left the game, but they made a correction and said he was actually hit in the head. But he's out of the game. Reliever Tom Gordon against Manny Lee, the number 9 hitter and leadoff hitter here in the bottom of the 7th for Toronto. He's 0 for 2 on and an error in the 2nd. Hit a fly ball to center for an out in the 5th.
Jim, I had mentioned that Gordon was the AL pitcher of the year in '86. Actually, it was '89 when he first came up. He was signed in '86. And he said that one was high.
He begs to differ, but he sits down just the same.
Watch his fastball. That's not high. It's below his belt.
So now Gordon will deal or try to at the top of the order. Devon White is up. 1 for 3. His base hit in the 1st looked like a pop-out that fell behind David Howard, the shortstop. He couldn't get back to it. Left and center fielder couldn't get to the ball. 2-0 here. Now 2-1. Two.
That's where the curveball has to be for Gordon to be successful. He had come into the game last inning and trying to throw it too hard, never allowed it to break. One of the best curveballs in the league.
Check swing foul. What makes a pitcher like Gordon, who was such a good starter when he came up, a better reliever than starter?
Well, I think the situation is now that he hasn't really mastered his pitches yet. He came up and had taken the league by storm, but when you look back to his first year, he won 17 games, but he only made 16 starts, so he was doing a little bit of both.
2 straight strikeouts, 2 away in the 7th inning. So do you think it's a case of good enough to get through the order once, maybe sneak through a couple of times, but not starter stuff yet?
Well, basically he relies on 2 pitches, fastball, curveball. And if he doesn't have his curveball on a particular night, his fastball is not quite good enough to go with exclusively. He could probably benefit from having an off-speed pitch, a change-up or some kind of split finger pitch. He's just not completely polished yet.
Two and 0. What's the most difficult pitch to add to a repertoire?
A 97-mile-an-hour fastball.
Okay, so you've got a fastball, curveball. Then what?
I think to master anything, it'd probably be the split finger pitch to master it where it's an effective pitch. It's not just a pitch you can grip properly and throw it and have it react. But that and a good changeup. You know, to have a good changeup is something that takes a long time to develop because the arm action has to be deceptive.
Ball 4. Alomar's aboard with 2 away.
You just can't throw an 80-mile-an-hour fastball and then a 60-mile-an-hour fastball and have the hitter swing at it differently. The arm action has to look like an 80-mile-an-hour fastball, and then the ball has to come out at 60 miles an hour. That's where you get the hitters to swing at it. So developing a first-class changeup is probably the toughest thing for a pitcher to do. There just aren't that many outstanding straight changes, or even a split-finger change like a Tom Hankey.
Alomar dives back into first. Joe Carter at the plate. Happy about the double and the run scored in the 6th. He snapped his slump last night by bunting. But he hit with some authority in the 6th inning in getting the double down the line into left. Kelly Gruber's been sitting with a hot pack on his shoulder.
So it's the left shoulder, as if maybe he's got a kink in the back of his neck. Last time we saw that hot pack out, it was on Juan Guzman's back in Oakland.
Did that set off a couple of alarms? Carter. There goes Alomar. McFarland with the throw. Shumpert couldn't hold on to it. Stolen base number 25 for Roberto Alomar.
McFarland was quick with it, but didn't get much on the throw. Let's take a look at Alomar's jump. Good jump there. Gordon with a high leg kick. Alomar with the head for a slide. You can see the throw is late. It's in the dirt. Shumpert can't come up with it. Alomar has his 25th stolen base of the year. The ball stays right there on the sliding pitch, so Rowdy has to stay put.
Now, while the top of the Blue Jays order has been slumping recently, this is the way it's supposed to work, I suppose. Alomar gets on, steals a base in front of Carter. Carter gets a chance to drive him home, pick up the RBI. Up to 66 with the one he picked up tonight. 3 of the Blue Jays' 7 hits from the first 3 in their order. White, Alomar, and Carter each have 1. runners aboard. No RBI here, but he's on base. 2 on for Winfield, 2 out.
McRae looks to Gordon. 4, 2, 3 innings at a time, and he works, and he's got him out here now trying to protect and not allow the Blue Jays to put any more runs up on the board. Royals trail it by 3 now. They don't want to fall any further behind.
Whoa, look out. Winfield lost the bat, and it stayed in the park. Strike 1.
He's fooled on this breaking pitch. Big, long stride, and you can see he's off balance. The bat flies right out of his hand.
Dave Winfield, a year older than George Brett. But the two came into the league at the same time. They go to the Hall of Fame about the same time. In June of '73, Winfield joined the Padres. In August of '73, George Brett joined the Kansas City Royals. Winfield pops the ball up. McFarland behind the plate makes the catch. And that retires the side. 2 are stranded, a pair of walks. And the Blue Jays still have a 3-0 lead as we move to the 8th inning. This is Labatt Blue Jays baseball on TSN.
McDonald's just made it easier to capture all your precious moments with the Fun Shots camera. It comes with its own free film, so you can start taking pictures right away. While you may have trouble getting your friends to smile, this camera is sure to light up the faces of some very special people, because 50 cents from each camera will go to Ronald McDonald Children's Charities. So hurry to McDonald's for your Fun Shots camera today. You're bound to put a smile on someone's face.
Since 1880, Imperial Oil has served not only customers, but the dreams of Canadians through the support of good causes. Today, Imperial Oil sponsors 1,500 charitable organizations and Canada's 125th birthday. You could say we've been supporting the future of Canada for the past 112 years.
You're on your way.
Kurt Harnett, medal contender for Canada in Barcelona.
I work hard to be the very best. I train hard every day, and that leaves my hair in a sweaty, tangled mess. That's why I use this, Pert Plus. Sure, I've tried some other 2-in-1s, but for me, Pert Plus is the best.
Pert Plus cleans thoroughly and conditions better than some other 2-in-1s, leaving your hair easier to comb, in control, and looking its best. Pert Plus, a winning combination for great-looking hair.
7 solid shutout innings for David Wells tonight, and he turns the ball over to his capable bullpen. Dwayne Ward is the first man out for Cito Gaston's Blue Jays. This pitching change is brought to you by Black & Decker's new line of power tools for the serious do-it-yourselfer. You'll never outgrow them.
The strength of Black & Decker's new drill with keyless chuck is something you'll appreciate bit by bit from the serious do-it-yourself line of power tools. You'll never outgrow them.
Dwayne Ward got the night off last night. He worked on Tuesday night against the Royals in the 6th and 7th inning in a victory.
Well, he came in and worked an inning and 2/3, gave up 1 hit, but struck out a couple of batters, and Dwayne Ward appears to be rejuvenated. It looked like toward the end of the trip out west that he was running out of gas in that last outing on Sunday in Oakland. He was hit around pretty good by the Athletics, but against the Royals on Tuesday night, he had a good fastball, tight curveball, and he pitched very effectively.
Ward to David Howard, the shortstop, who's 0 for 2. Howard called up on the 15th of July, has 70 at-bats. 1-1. Jim Eisenreich loosening up in the on-deck circle, getting set to pinch hit for Terry Shumpert. 2-2. Blue Jays open up against New York tomorrow night. Todd Stottlemyre against Sean Hilligus. 2-2 pitch fouled off. Hilligus has moved around a little bit. Rotation for the New York Yankees has some good starts for them as well. Tonight, the Blue Jays are trying to finish off the Royals. 8th inning, 2 balls, 2 strikes to David Howard. Grounded foul.
Jim, remember back in the spring, we were in Montreal for a Blue Jays series against the Expos, and the Blue Jays had claimed Sean Hilligus off the waiver wire.
That's right.
And he refused to report. Said, I don't want to come to Toronto. Gord Ash, who talked to him, was quite surprised by the reaction.
Howard is struck out. Here's the line on David Wells, and a nifty one it is.
Boy, it sure is, and it comes at a great time for David Wells. 7 innings, 3 hits, a walk, and 6 strikeouts, just 94 pitches. He was in command all night long. And as Jim pointed out, that at bat against George Brett in the first inning set the tone for the whole night. He struck Brett out to end the first inning.
And turned a 3-0 lead over to Dwayne Ward. We always seem to catch guys in the best pose, you know. Here's the 1-0 to pinch hitter Jim Eisenreich. Outside, 2 balls, no strikes. There's a strike, 2-2. Eisenreich was in last night's game with the right-hander Steve on the mound, went 1 for 3. Line drive, center field, 2 away. Top of the order, and Brian McRae up against Dwayne Ward. $50,417 in attendance tonight. McRae fouls off Ward's first pitch. Tom Hankey getting set to pitch the 9th out of the bullpen. His save situation tonight. He could come on looking for 18. 0-2 to McRae. Foul ball. Mentioned 50,400 here tonight. That makes 27 consecutive sellouts. There's a pretty good bet there won't be another game in this park this season that's not sold out. Oh, and 2-2 out. Royals 8th inning, 3-0 Toronto. Devon White's getting a workout tonight, probably enjoying that, makes the catch 3 up and 3 down for Dwayne Ward in the 8th inning to the bottom of inning number 8. It's 3-0 Toronto. This is Labatt Blue Jays baseball on TSN.
You know, there's real magic in Diet Pepsi. It's got that special aha ingredient. You got the right one, baby. Hey. Okay, girls. Now, what's that magic ingredient?
With 100% What makes McCain Super Fries better than ordinary fries? They're not just delicious, they're super delicious. Not just crispy, they're super crispy. They're not just fries, they're super fries. McCain Super Fries. If they're not McCain, they're just not super.
There are two kinds of people in the world. Those who want to know,
Harvey, these light-to-light dinners give us their cholesterol and fat levels.
and those who don't. Delicious. McCain Light Delight. The information's on the outside. The taste is on the inside.
You won't find more real action than on TSN in August. Baseball's a hit with the Jays, Expos, and the Canadian Little League Championship. The CFL is as tough and exciting as ever. Tennis's best serve it up at the U.S. Open and the Matinee Limited International. Golf's elite tee it up at the PGA Championship and the International. And Kings of Speed rev it up on the world's hottest tracks. So tune in August for some real action and real drama. Only on Real TV, TSN.
3-0 Toronto, and the Blue Jays will try and add to that bottom of the 8th inning against reliever Tom Gordon. Louis Aquino pitched 5 2/3. Gordon's been on since then. John Olroot leading off the 8th against him. Having an unusual 0 for 3 night. One strike. Curtis Wilkerson's in the ball game. Terry Shumpert was pinch hit for by Eisenreich. Wilkerson's in to play second base. And he has to go to work. 1 away. Closed captioning of tonight's game is funded partially by Labatt Breweries. We'll be back here on Saturday afternoon. Note the start time. 1 Eastern. Jack Morris against Melito Perez. Sunday we'll broadcast the Yankees and Blue Jays game as well with Jimmy Key against Scott Sanderson. 2 good matchups. Candy Maldonado at the plate for the Blue Jays. And he's got another hit. His 3rd of the night.
This is the first hit that Gordon has allowed since coming on in the 6th inning, and it's a good curveball. But we talked about hitters looking for curveballs. That one may have been a ball low, but Maldonado had curveball on his mind, stays back, uses his hands, doesn't muscle it, just pulls it through the hole at third base.
Kelly Gruber, 2 for 2, intentionally walked at his last at-bat, singled in the 2nd and 4th. Gruber, because he's missed some time this year, doesn't have the same number of at-bats as many of the other regulars. So a hot streak for a short time can get his average up in a hurry. It's bumped up from 228 to 234 just tonight with a couple of hits. Maldonado's experienced the same thing. Didn't play a lot early, so when he got on a hot streak, he bumped his average up 20 points in no time. In a matter of all a road trip to the West Coast. Inside 2-1. Now when you get in the position of Devon White, who's been playing every day and really piling up the at-bats, and he's gone into a slump and his average has dropped, it'll take a little while longer as he gets out of the slump to move it up.
Well, with as many at-bats as Devon White has, a hit means just only 1 point. So it's a slow climb to respectability. But his production numbers have been good. 10 homers, 41 RBI. Actually, 42 RBIs now.
Three and two. Full count to Gruber, one away, man on first. Bottom of the 8th inning at Skydome in Toronto. It's 3-0 Blue Jays. Strikeout for Gordon. His 3rd since coming into the game. 2 away.
Now Gordon has got the curveball down now. He's got tight spin on it. Gruber is fooled badly out in front of it. Watch how he gets out of that front foot. One-handed swing. He gets a piece of it, but McFarland hangs on for the strikeout. Tom Gordon made some dramatic adjustments after coming in and walking Kelly Gruber, first batter he faced. See, now Borders is swinging fastball on that pitch and got the curveball. But it's a different Tom Gordon he's facing right now than he faced in the 6th inning when he flew out to center.
One ball, one strike. Royals 9th inning, and the right part of the order up to try and start a rally. Jeffries, Brett, and McReynolds. 2, 3, and 4 hitters. 2-1. And they'll face Tom Hankey unless the Blue Jays rally here and take a save out of his pocket.
Big Tom should be ready.
Strike 2 and 2. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. That's all for Borders and the Blue Jays in the 8th inning. A single by Maldonado has 3 hits tonight. He's stranded at first base. We'll go to the 9th inning. And the Kansas City Royals will face Tom Hankey, who will be on looking for save number 18. This is Labatt. Blue Jays baseball on TSN. Now with another update. Paul Romanuk of TSN.
Thanks, Jim. A busy night in the CFL tonight. 4 games ongoing. We will have highlights of most on the next edition of Sports Desk, which comes your way after the ball game. Tease you right now with some highlights from the Saskatchewan and Hamilton game. Not a bad football game. We'll pick this one up with the Riders leading by a score of 7-0. Damon Allen will hook up with Earl Winfield. Great grab in the corner of the end zone. Ties the score at 7. And then the Winfield show continues. Allen throws it up, and this time Winfield beats 2 defenders. Ticats out in front 14-7. Just before the end of the half, Winfield completes the hat trick, so to speak. Hangs on long enough before the ball comes loose. Hamilton up 24-14. Saskatchewan has come back to tie it. They're in the 4th quarter. Saskatchewan and Hamilton tied at 24. BC is playing Winnipeg. They're at the half. 17-7 is the score on this one. Toronto and Calgary 15-13. Toronto coming back in Calgary, which enjoyed a wider margin of lead earlier in this game. And Edmonton is playing Ottawa. They're in the 4th quarter. Edmonton leading 38-18. Once again, highlights on the next edition of Sports Desk. The big news today coming in the pool of the Olympic Games. Mark Tewksbury winning a gold medal in the 100-meter backstroke. He set an Olympic record and fulfilled a boyhood dream in doing so. A report on Sports Desk again coming up afterwards. Let's take a look at the medal standings up to date. You see Canada with its first gold, also with the bronze that was won yesterday. Let's go back to the Skydome. Jim Houston and Buck Martinez.
And Tom Hankey. Thanks, Paul. Tom's on the mound. Got his 17th save on Tuesday night against the Royals. Worked an inning in the 3rd. He doesn't often work more than an inning. On Tuesday night, Cito Gaston got a couple of outs from Dwayne Ward, wanted to shut him down and save him, keep him as fresh as possible. And so he brought Hankey in, and he brings him in again tonight at the start of the 9th inning. And he'll try and nail save 18.
Well, he's going to have to wade through the toughest part of the Royals lineup to get that 18th save. Jeffries, Brett, and McReynolds. But Tom Henke has really been sharp lately. 14 walks on the season, 26 strikeouts, and a 176 batting average against.
The game ended on Tuesday night with a Henke-Brett confrontation that was a good one, and Henke won it.
And he enjoyed it. He really got up for that game on the line.
Greg Jeffries 0 for 3, struck out twice against David Wells, lined out to left. Blue Jays have been able to get him out tonight. They weren't able to in the first couple of games in this series. He shoots the ball to the gap in left center. The gap's closed by Maldonado. 1 away. And now another battle between Tom Henke and George Brett. Foul ball, 0-2. Henke's right out in front of this battle. Of empty seats, there are many people that are very confident. Hang on to this, headed out to the streets. And many more following. 0-2 pitch to Brett. Got him. Short battle tonight. 2 away.
Tom Henke doesn't waste any time. The game, of course, not on the line with his at bat, but he goes upstairs with the fastball and blows away George Brett. He just threw it right by him.
Now 1 out away from a Blue Jay victory and Henke's 18th save. A victory for David Wells. Run his record to 6-4. Ball and a strike. Following the game, our TSN Turning Point is presented by Apple Auto Glass tonight. 1 ball, 1 strike, 2 out. Ball, 2-1 to Kevin McReynolds. Looks like the Blue Jays will have a 4-game lead again on Baltimore. Orioles lost to the Yanks today. Full count, 3-2. Royals are down to the last strike.
Henke dropped down from the side, tried to get McReynolds to chase. But he walked him. Take a look at this. He'll go sidearm. Fastball, spots it down and away, but too low.
So he'll start over in search of the 3rd out against Wally Joyner. There's 0 for 3. Fly ball out, ground out, and a strikeout. Ground ball, Roberto Alomar snags it, throws him out, and that's the ball game. Great pitching tonight from 3 Blue Jay pitchers, shutting the Royals down for a 3-hit Toronto shutout. 3-0 Toronto final.
David Wells came out and set the tone early. 7 innings of shutout ball, just 3 hits. Dwayne Ward worked perfect 8th inning, and then they turn it over to the big man, Tom Henke, who collects his 18th save of the season. Good effort by the pitchers once again tonight as they take 2 out of 3 against Kansas City and increase their league-leading lead to 4 games over the Baltimore Orioles.
9th shutout of the season for the Blue Jays, 2nd in the American League to the Boston Red Sox. 3 hits given up by David Wells, and he scattered those 2nd, 4th, and 5th innings. A solid inning from Wells in a setup role, and then Tom Henke shut down the Blue Jays, shut down the Royals in the 9th, leaving a man aboard, but preserving the 3-0 victory. This is Labatt, Blue Jays baseball on TSN.
I got the key to the highway, built out and bound to go.
When you're a long way from home,
Because you haven't done nothing but
got no shirt on your back,
a good man away from home,
and no roof over your head. Yeah, that's the blues.
Every day at Esso, we go to extremes. From desert heat to minus 40. Quality is essential to us. It's a lot of time, and it's a lot of care.
Our gasoline goes through at least 16 different quality control tests. Nothing is left to chance. Quality is too important. From the first tests to the last stop.
At Esso, you can count on all of us for the quality of our products.
Friday, TSN wraps up the month with a bang. First, it's high-octane excitement in Bristol, Tennessee. Hang on for the IHRA Spring Nationals. Then, the fast-track action shifts to Cayuga, Ontario for highlights of the CASCAR 100, courtesy of Raceline. Later, rugby bragging rights go on the line in Sydney, Australia, as the world champions tackle New Zealand. Catch it Friday on Real TV, TSN.
You know, Diet Pepsi's now for everyone. That's right, Ray. Meet my twin brother, Herb.
And our twins, the Herbettes.
With caffeine-free Diet Pepsi, I get all that great taste, but there's no caffeine. Sing it, brother. You got the right one, baby. It's irresistibly sippable, uncontestably tasteable, and caffeine-free. You got the right one, baby. Hey.
It's 100%
Now it's time for the TSN Turning Point, brought to you tonight by Apple Auto Glass.
The turning point came early in tonight's ballgame. In the first inning with 2 outs and George Brett at the plate, David Wells had established all of his pitches early, thrown the curveball, and then gets the fastball by George Brett for the strikeout, and he was in the driver's seat all night long. 7 innings of shutout ball, 3 hits and 6 strikeouts for David Wells, a very good performance.
A cash donation will be made to the Coaching Association of Canada for the training and development of Canadian coaches in amateur sport on behalf of TSN and Apple Auto Glass. Saves you money on stone-chipped windshield repairs. Blue Jays have defeated the Royals 3-0 and won the series 2-1. David Wells runs his record to 6-4. Louis Aquino takes the loss. Tom Henke, his 18th save. 50,417 looked on in 2 hours, 35 minutes at Skydome in Toronto. The Blue Jays now have a 4-game lead in the American League East. And here's why they have the lead, because Baltimore lost in New York today. 6-3, it was Young over Sutcliffe, who's now 10-11. Mel Hall hit his 13th home run. Leo Gomez hit his 9th in a losing cause for Baltimore. Milwaukee also chasing the Blue Jays and leading 5-2 against the slumping Twins. 7th inning, Bosio and Banks were the starters in that game. Chicago and Detroit rained out in Detroit. And this afternoon, California beat Seattle 6-5. Tim Fortuno was the starter for California, but didn't get the win. Mark Eichhorn did. Russ Swan in relief took the loss as California scored 5 in the 8th.
In the National League, Montreal 7-2 winners over the Phillies. Now Montreal remains at least in a tie for first place because the Pittsburgh Pirates shut out the St. Louis Cardinals. Danny Jackson with the shutout beat Mark Clark in that ball game 4-0. Just early in the ball game out on the West Coast, Charlie Leibrandt starts for Atlanta against John Burkett. Atlanta, a one-game lead over the Reds. And later on, the Dodgers will take on the San Diego Padres. The Padres just 5 back in the West, and they're trying to close the gap.
And the Dodgers without Darryl Strawberry, who will undergo surgery for a herniated disc in his lower back and miss the remainder of the season. The final score at Skydome in Toronto. The East-leading Blue Jays are 4 up on Baltimore after a 3-0 win over the Royals. This is Labatt Blue Jays baseball on TSN.
Children grow up so fast. Jesse may look safe, but his head is more than halfway above the top of his seat. He could be hurt in an accident. At Esso, looking out for your safety is part of our service. So remember, Jesse would be safer in a booster seat with a regular seatbelt. Drive safely. Pick up our brochure of road safety information. It's free at your local Esso.
To me, good service also means getting you safely on your way.
You're on your way, Esso.
I wasn't born with healthy-looking, shiny hair. It didn't always look so healthy until I changed to new Pantene Pro V 2-in-1 shampoo plus conditioner. It has a vitamin-rich formula containing provitamin B5 that reaches even to the tips of your hair, improving it, making it healthy-looking and brilliantly shiny.
New Pantene Pro V makes your hair look so healthy, it shines.
Try it. You'll notice a difference, too.
Stand by 3 in EDO. Come to lineup.
The Jays are at home to square off against the boys from the Bronx. Catch a weekend of excitement Saturday at 1 and Sunday at 1:30 Eastern. Blue Jays baseball on Real TV, TSN.
Play Baseball Magic at any A&P or Dominion store in Ontario. When the Jays score, you could win a PS6600 64K electronic organizer from Texas Instruments or an 18-speed Granite Pass bicycle from Huffy. Complementing the Ontario promotion, TSN invites its viewers residing outside Ontario to participate in Baseball Magic. An additional prize budget has been established for all non-Ontario winners. To enter, send your entry to Baseball Magic, Post Office Box 73032 in Scarborough.
Well, this game wasn't without its moments of madcap action. How about this play in the second inning? Here's one for you to brush up on, us to brush up on the rules with.
Well, McFarland chases Maldonado back to third base with Gruber standing on the bag. Right here, he doesn't touch him. You see that? He hasn't touched him with the ball. The ball's in his right hand. So the bag is Maldonado's. Now McFarland will touch Gruber there, and then touch Maldonado, who drifted off the base. McClellan, the umpire, says Maldonado's out, and then points back to Gruber saying, you're already out, because when McFarland tagged you, it was Maldonado's base. So 2 base runners are killed right there in that second inning, and it could have been a big inning for the Blue Jays, but a heads-up play by the catcher gets them out of a jam.
Although the Blue Jays will contend all along that when Maldonado was tagged, or what it looked like he was tagged before he got back to third base, then the base becomes vacant and Kelly Gruber is safely there.
Yeah, that's what Cito was arguing, I'm sure, but we could see the fact that McFarland had the ball in his right hand and tagged him with the back of his glove, and Maldonado felt it, so just drifted off the base thinking he was already out.
Well, this game is a night before the trading deadline. We've seen a fine performance from David Wells last night. 6 solid innings from Dave Stieb. How do you think the performances by pitchers who were at one time struggling, Stieb more than Wells, affect what the Blue Jays might do in terms of a deal?
Well, I think it won't really sway them one way or the other, but they have to be much more relaxed after seeing a couple of good starts by Stieb and Wells, and there's still got to be some concern about Gooseman. He's going to throw tomorrow, but if his shoulder isn't 100%, I wouldn't be surprised if they shut him down again on Monday, make him miss 2 starts because they still have a 4-game lead over the Orioles. They've gotten 2 good starts in a row. Now Steve could just go right back and start again on Monday against Roger Clemens, and there is no reason in the world to rush Juan Gooseman back if his shoulder is questionable.
And Todd Stottlemyre starts against the Yankees tomorrow night. If he has a good start, then all of the struggling pitchers get smooth again.
Well, it's interesting. We just hear now over the intercom that Myers and Ducey have just been traded to the California Angels for former Blue Jay Mark Eichhorn. So all of the talk with the Angels was correct, but it's for a relief pitcher and not a starter.
Isn't that interesting? While we were all thinking they might go out after a starter, they've gone for a reliever. Again, Greg Myers and Rob Ducey traded to the Angels for Mark Eichhorn, who will fit into the bullpen plans. And Ed Sprague has been called up from AAA Syracuse, and so has Randy Knorr, as this information comes in as we speak. So Knorr and Sprague called up, Myers and Ducey gone. Eichhorn, there's an extra guy there, isn't there?
Yeah, there sure is, and there's 2 catchers called up from the minor leagues too, so maybe the Blue Jays aren't quite done yet. There's a few more wheels to be turned, and it's tomorrow night at midnight. That's the trade deadline before the waiver period expires, so Pat Gillick's wheels are spinning once again. He wants to ensure that they're headed for the World Series.
We stay on the air here long enough.
Maybe
we may
we'll
have
get
5
another
or 6 more deals. Again, Mark Eichhorn has become a Blue Jay. Ducey and Myers are gone. Sprague and Knorr, both catchers, have been called up from AAA Syracuse. This announced on the heels of a Blue Jay victory over the Kansas City Royals, 3-0. This is Labatt Blue Jays baseball on TSN.
How about being my partner? Gonna kill a couple of no-good cowboys.
For what?
For cutting up a lady.
It was a time when lawmen were killers. Outlaws were heroes.
So you still have that Spencer rifle, huh?
And a bad reputation.
I've always been lucky when it comes to killing folks.
Was as good as gold. Clint Eastwood, Gene Hackman, Morgan Freeman, Richard Harris, Unforgiven.
Starts Friday, August 7th at a theater near you.
If you thought Banana George Blair had found the fountain of youth,
I'm 77 and still barefooting.
You'd be half right, because the one he's found is actually for his car. With a little Armor All Protectant, George restores the beauty of his dashboard and seats, and in minutes it helps protect his tires from fading and aging.
It keeps my car looking almost as good as me.
There is a fountain of youth, and we own the patent. Armor All.
I hope my teeth don't fall out.
Fingers pitches the A's out of danger.
They thrilled us for years with their spectacular abilities, on and off the field. Modern-day heroes. Now it's time to reward them with the highest achievable honor an athlete could receive, being inducted into the Hall of Fame. TSN presents a Hall of Fame weekend. Saturday, it's the Pro Football Hall of Fame induction ceremonies. Sunday, Major League Baseball from Cooperstown. Right here on Real TV, TSN. The most daring riders carve the most demanding turns from the world's exotic locations. TSN has the high-speed thrills and spills of the Motorcycle Grand Prix World Championship. We've got highlights from the 5th round of action from Mugello, Italy. Saturday, 7 Eastern, the Italian Motorcycle Grand Prix, right here on Real TV, TSN. Labatt Blue Jays baseball on TSN. Brought to you by Labatt Blue. Honest and true, you bet it's blue. And by Esso Associates and Imperial Oil. You're on your way with Esso. And by Diet Pepsi. You got the right one, baby.
The Labatt player of the game for the Toronto Blue Jays tonight is starter and winner David Wells. 7 innings of 3-hit ball for his 6th win. The Labatt player of the game for the Royals is reliever Tom Gordon for his 2 1/3 innings of solid relief work. A cash donation will be made to the Canadian Special Olympics on behalf of Gordon, Wells, Cannon, and Eureka. All members of the Blue Jays pitching staff receive a selection of gifts from the Mutual Group. Top-notch financial products and services, the Mutual Group and you, facing tomorrow together. And Black & Decker's new line of power tools for the serious do-it-yourselfer. You'll never outgrow them. We'll be back Saturday afternoon at 1 Eastern Time. Jack Morris against Melito Perez, the Yankees and the Blue Jays. Expo action on TSN is next on August 16th when the Expos play the Cardinals. Again, the day before the trading deadline, this just in, the Blue Jays have bolstered their relief corps with the acquisition of Mark Eichhorn from the Angels. Greg Myers and Rob Ducey go the other way. Randy Knorr and Ed Sprague called up. 3 men added, 2 are gone. Is there another deal? Stay tuned to TSN, the Sports Network.
Friday, TSN wraps up the month with a bang. First, it's high-octane excitement in Bristol, Tennessee. Hang on for the IHRA Spring Nationals. Then, the fast-track action shifts to Cayuga, Ontario for highlights of the CASCAR 100, courtesy of Raceline. Later, rugby bragging rights go on the line in Sydney, Australia, as the world champions tackle New Zealand. Catch it Friday on Real TV, TSN.
You're watching TSN, the Sports Network.
Water Sport World, brought to you by Coors Light. You've got the right beer now. And by Chrysler. All you have to do is drive one.
This week on Water Sport World, champion water skier Bruce Neville.
I've looked at the top guys and said I'd love to be able to do that for a living like the good guys. But you know, when I was looking at that, I was like 16 years old, and there wasn't that many tournament skiers around like who could make a living out of the sport. So it was like kind of a real long shot, and I didn't really expect to be able to be one of those guys.
They've been terrifying people for years, and now we're going to dive with them.
And then we get a few that came really close, and we decided, well, maybe we can hand feed them.
We'll go on another water destination and lots more this week on Water Sport World. Of all the creatures that inhabit our planet, there is not one that instills the sheer terror and deepest fear within our being the way the shark does. Why then would anyone want to meet this ferocious creature within its own habitat at the bottom of the ocean floor? Water Sport World traveled to the Bahamas to take a closer look, and we talked with Ben Rose of the Underwater Exploring Society.
First time I had any real encounter with sharks was when I was about 9 years old. I was spearfishing with friends, and I speared a fish, and we were about, I guess, a quarter mile offshore, and I decided to take the fish ashore, and halfway between my friends and the shore, I encountered what I thought at that time was a big shark, because I was like 9 years old, so I was about 4'2" or something like that. And the first thing that went through my mind at that point in time was that you're not going to have my fish. So I lifted my fish out of the water, and of course then all hell broke loose. The shark came out of the water. I assume he got the fish. I really don't know, but he bumped into me and knocked my mask off and ended up leaving 6 teeth marks in my scalp. And it all happened so fast that I didn't even know I'd been hurt until I got in and started walking up the beach. And I could feel stuff running down me, and I thought, what's that? And I put my hand like this, and it was all blood. And by the time I walked out of the water, it was all the way dripping down off my feet.
At the beginning, people who came for the thrill of a lifetime, albeit terrifying, were allowed to hand feed the sharks. However, numerous injuries and bites caused not only by the sharks soon led to this unnerving activity being abolished. And now only the guides are hand feeding the sharks.
And of course, it started out with first few sharks, and of course at first we didn't actually hand feed them. We would push the food out on the bottom and let them come in and pick it up. And then we get a few that came really close, and we decided, well, maybe we can hand feed them. So we kept letting them come closer and closer, and then finally we started just reaching out. And at first, of course, as soon as they got close to us, we would drop the food and they would come and take it. And now, of course, we can take it right out and literally put it in their mouth. And in fact, sometimes we can even lead them.
At first, only 1 or 2 sharks looking for a handout circled the divers, but their numbers soon increased to as many as 15.
We started out with 1 or 2 sharks, and then 3, and then 4, and then 5. And then we changed locations. We found another spot, and at that point we had as many as 15. And at the location we're at now, we have anywhere from 5 to 15 on a subsequent dive.
Visitors are urged not to forget that, after all, they are in close proximity to a wild creature. Nothing can prevent them from striking, and there's very little that can be done in such a case.
One thing we find is that people are very apprehensive when they start their dive, and most people get down, and once they're down and they're sitting and they're situated, then of course they tend to lose that apprehension. I guess in some ways that's good, in some ways it could be bad, because you tend to get a little, maybe these things aren't quite as bad. Unfortunately, they are wild animals, and we have to keep in mind that they have the potential. The fact that we've sort of trained them into what they're doing is one thing, but if they decided to bite somebody, I'm not sure that there's a whole lot we could do about it.
All visitors are put through a test before being taken out on a dive.
We do basically a one-day course where we have, the first part of it's approximately 3 hours, three and a half hours, and that's lecture and pool work, and we teach you about the equipment and how it works, and then we take you in the pool and show you how it works, and then basically we take you out on a dive. And if you do this course, what we would do is we would take you on a first dive, which would be shallow, and of course if you could get through that, then we would take you on a medium dive, and if you got through the medium dive with no problems, then it's possible that if we considered you good enough and competent enough, then we would let you actually go out and do a shark dive.
Although for most of us, even coming close to a live shark would be a blood-chilling thought, some of the creatures don't even come for the free food. They merely want to be petted.
We had a particular shark when we first started that we called Lady, she was quite large. She was about 7.5 feet, and she was the most gentle shark that we'd ever had. She would literally come up and stop and let you stroke her. In fact, after a while, it reached a point where she wouldn't take food anymore. She would only take the odd fish. And the rest of the time, she came up and just wanted to be stroked.
In the early morning hours, the equipment is loaded into the boat. A final rundown of what to expect, a last check of the gear, and it's into the ocean blue and an adventure of fantastic magnitude. For eons, the shark has been surrounded by tales and fables of fear and trepidation, its very existence shrouded in cloaks of danger and mystery. Yet we're mesmerized by its majestic grace, the deadly speed that makes it appear seemingly out of nowhere. And for those few of us who have the opportunity and the courage to come within touching distance of this awesome creature, It is an adventure like no other.
When can you get these estimates out?
How do you really know the world is round?
How can we cut these financing costs?
Do people live on other planets?
Every day, you're faced with all kinds of questions.
Hey, are you going to make Friday's deadline?
If you'd like to find the answers to life's more important questions, be a big brother.
How do you decide what you want to be when you grow up?
It'll make a man out of him and a boy out of you.
How you doing?
Fine.
Did you ski tonight?
No, but I'm skiing Sacramento.
It's a good feeling when you get someone to come up and say, "Hey, Bruce, can I have your autograph?" It's a great feeling to have. Like, I never thought I used to go around asking skiers, Bob LaPointe, Chris LaPointe, those guys that I used to idolise, and now I'm beside them signing autographs with the O'Brien team. I'm signing beside them, and there I used to be, 10 years ago, I used to be begging for their autographs. So it's great now. Kids are coming up to me now and asking for autographs. It's a good feeling.
Australian Bruce Neville himself was eager for an autograph once, but now the champion water skier is at the other end of the pen. Water skiing for Bruce runs in the family. Both parents were competitive skiers, and 5 Nevilles have now been on the Australian team the last 4 years.
Skiing together is really great. Growing up with Mick, and my brother skied, and my sister skied, and his sister skied, and the families grew up together. The parents competed against each other. Like when they were younger, they grew up skiing together, and we used to go away each weekend to a lake, and we used to always go out and compete in the slalom course against each other. So we all grew up with a competitive instinct, you might say. And I think it helped our skiing in the long run, because we kept pushing each other all the way through our careers. We stopped really skiing together when I was about 15. Nick moved away to another state, and his family moved to another state, so we couldn't actually be together and ski.
The Masters, held in high esteem by most as the prestigious must-win event, isn't one of Bruce's favorites. He calls it just another event, but he does have his own favorite places.
It's a nice break to travel out of America, and I love traveling to Europe. I've been up here to Canada a few times. I like skiing in Canada. I've actually done my 2 best performances in Canada, in my best performance in slalom and in the jumping. So Canada is one of my favorite spots to ski, and also Europe. I enjoy skiing in Europe. America, because there's so many tournaments, and sometimes it just gets a bit like your routine going out there. Same faces, same prize money. Seems to be the same crowd a lot of times. But most favourite tournament would have to be in my home country. The Moomba Masters is probably the most favourite tournament of mine. It's got like 200,000 people lining the bank to the side of the river. It's a big festival in the centre of town, and it's amazing how many people you get out there. It's just like it's a major sporting event for the town.
Yeah, what you're doing is you're turning, and your first movement after you turn is you're dropping in. So rather than like you're going to leave your right ski behind, what you got to do is you got to turn, wait, and then push.
On tour, Bruce and wife Tony spend a lot of time in America, and when they do, they visit with friend Sammy Duval.
We've got a pretty special relationship, actually. Sammy and I, we've trained with each other for about 7 years now, and he's helped my jumping a lot, and I believe I've helped his a lot. We've pushed each other all the way through our careers. Like he was at number 1 when I was about in the top 10. I was just getting into the top 10, and he was at number 1, and he was fighting it out with Mike Hazelwood all the time. And then, I always looked up to him as a jumper, and he helped me get up to the level where I am now. Now, for the last couple of years, we've been competing head to head. He wins some, I win some. But the rivalry, the friendship's still there, and but it's a pretty fierce rivalry when we get on the water. We leave the friendship at the dock and we just go for it.
Though Sammy's a terrific friend, Bruce will tell you that his very best friend is his wife, Tony, who's having a great year on the circuit herself and is looking for her 2nd overall title.
The Nevilles, who spend approximately 24 hours a day in each other's company, share everything, including the business end of skiing.
Get up wide and make sure you get your skis around. Do you feel like when you turn your skis are apart and like that?
We kind of do. We share it around, like, so she booked all the hotels this year. I think last year I booked all the hotels. I booked the flights. She gets the money out of the bank, ready to travel. You know, we just share it out. We don't really have a set plan or a business type of thing. She's over there in the background saying, "Oh, I do it all," but I'm not sure about that. Yeah, she got the money to spend. She's actually winning a fair bit of money this year, so she's allowed to do that.
Well, if you were among the cheering fans at the 33rd Masters, when the world jump record of 207 feet went to Canadian Jarrett Llewellyn, you may have to cheer some more, because Bruce isn't finished by a long shot.
I'm not going to be calling it quits for a while, you know, injury permitting, but I'm going to be sticking around for a long time, I hope. You know, as long as my body will stand up, I'll be around there. There's one more goal I'd like, is to get the world jump record. The Canadian fella, Jarrett Llewellyn, he just picked it up by a foot, 207. My best is 204, so, you know, I'm 3 feet from it, but, you know, I feel like I'm getting there. You know, like I've had about 8 jumps in the 200s this year already, so my jumping's getting a lot more consistent up into that area. I just need to, you know, get the perfect site and get the perfect jump, and hopefully that goal will become a reality.
If there's no money to be made in a tournament, Bruce isn't too keen on participating, but he'd definitely try for a piece of the gold.
Oh yeah, I'd definitely go to Olympics if it was the Olympic sport. The world titles, there's no money in the world titles, but that's still the prestigious tournament in the world. Like I say, there's no money, I won't ski. Of course I'll ski if it's a great event, if it's for a good cause, and it's a prestigious event, I'll definitely ski.
As far as Bruce is concerned, there are only 2 places to be: at wife Tony's side or behind a boat going for a world title. And it looks as if he'll be doing both for a long time to come.
Promotional consideration for Watersport World provided by Mastercraft. Nothing else even comes close.
If your family loves the taste of ripe, juicy fruit, make a little magic with McCain Fruit Punch. McCain makes frozen punch from real concentrated fruit juice, so you can really taste the fruit. Great with grapes. Outstanding with orange. McCain Punch, frozen and now ready to drink. You can taste the quality because you can taste the fruit.
This week's destination takes us to a place in northern Ontario. It's a place of isolation and a place of dreams for Harvey Fryson and Dick Davidson. Against all odds, these men hope to create one of Canada's premier fishing resorts in a remote area north of Sioux Lookout.
This is the first tourist camp that has been allowed to be established on the lake. So we're very fortunate. Another reason Guardian Eagle is there's an eagle's nest just about 500 yards from the camp. They had young this year, and quite frequently you could see the eagle soaring high above the camp. It's a fair-sized lake. It's long, narrow, about 20-25 miles long, and just packed with hungry walleye and northern fish.
The fishing in this particular spot is, like most spots in this lake, is actually quite good. The reason being, of course, that this lake has had no habitation on it other than a few native Indians who have trapped and fished the area for maybe the last, could be the last century or so. No, financially it is not going to be that rewarding. This is more of something that I in particular wanted to do, so it's more of a labor of love, and fortunately we won't have to make a living off of it, so that we're going to just try to have it pay for itself and enjoy it while we can. This is the last cabin in the row before the sauna. We have 8 cabins here. As you can see, they average about 1,100 square feet and can handle, there'll be 2 people per bedroom. No bunk beds in this particular lodge. There's lots of space for living space. As you can see inside this particular unit, there's only 3 bedrooms and a very large living area, fireplace in the center, all individual bedrooms, and a full-size bathroom. There she goes! My God, I'm a little far to the left, fading back in. Oh, right distance, I thought. That's the first golf ball that's been hit on what is to be a new executive par 3 course here. 9 holes, average length of about 90 yards.
The fishing and the lake is so serene that it's just a joy to be there, and the sunsets are just absolutely gorgeous.
As long as there are dreamers, there is hope. And we hope that soon fishermen from around the world will talk about catching that big one at the Guardian Eagle in Northern Ontario. It's a place of dreams. National windsurfing champion and Windsport magazine editor-publisher Steve Jarrett has spent many hours on the water perfecting his craft. Early in the season, Steve told us that balance is the first and foremost fundamental in windsurfing. This week, Steve advances to the second stage of mastering the sport.
Once you get the balance down, then the next stage you go to in learning to windsurf is how to steer the board. And again, like you start with balance on dry land, we use a simulator, and it simulates how to steer the board using the sail rig. And a sailboard, unlike a dinghy sailboat, does not have a rudder to steer with. And so you have to use a combination of the sail, the board's fin or skeg on the back of the board, and a dagger board, like a centerboard on a dinghy boat. And moving the sail forward towards the bow and back towards the stern is what actually steers the board. And as you become part of the whole sail rig by holding on to the boom, and steering the board really comes down to just maneuvering the rig a little bit forward, a little bit back, and as you progress in the sport, you learn how far forward you can go with the rig and how far back. Moving the rig back will turn the board up into the wind, and moving the rig forward will turn the board away from the wind. And those are the 2 basic elements of steering the board.
For more tips on fine-tuning your windsurfing skills, tune into future Water Sport World episodes.
Jays are at home to square off against the boys from the Bronx. Catch a weekend of excitement Saturday at 1 and Sunday at 1:30 Eastern. Blue Jays baseball on Real TV, TSN.
Time to look in now on what's up at a beach near you with the Summer Calendar, brought to you by Yamaha Marine.
Yeah, well, it gives us an opportunity to show off the products, but I think more importantly, what we wanted to do was to give the riders the opportunity to not only test the capabilities of the machines, but also to test their own abilities in a controlled environment. Watersport World has been brought to you by Coors Light, the right beer now.